Hello, everyone. Okay. This is what we are familiar with. Every once in a while, I try a little experiment and it doesn't go well. It's well. I wanted to do what's it called? Vertical live stream. I wanted to do the vertical live streaming, but it wasn't going well. So here we are. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone watching us for wherever you're watching us across the world. It is my pleasure to be coming to you live once again. We have 21 people watching us right now, and I'm hoping to get 21 likes right now. 21. Come on, go and give us that 21 likes. Smash, destroy. You know, commit jihad on the like button. It is your civic duty. You owe it to yourself, to your children, to your country. If you are a true patriot, true patriot. What? I can't pronounce the word patriot. You know what? Let me not even try again. This one that I did not pronounce it well. Let me not try and pronounce it again. If I pronounce nonsense. Anyway, if you truly love your country and you truly love this nation that we are building, the nation of Islamophobes, if you really love this nation, this empire we are building, your commander, your king has ordered you, your prince, your Nigerian prince has ordered you, go and smash that like button, destroy it. Welcome every one of you. Welcome every single one of you. If you we started the first live stream, but it wasn't going well, so I had to start another one. And I'm happy to see every one of you. I'm happy to see Peter, I'm happy to see John. I'm happy to see, in fact, we have the whole 12 disciples right now. If you look, you'll see Andrew, you will see you will see John the presbyter, and you see John the great, John the less, and John the great. You see all the Johns. We have everyone here. You will see Paul, if you look closely. We have everybody here, the whole gang from first century Judea are present with us here, and it's going to be a blast. We have a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about, and I can't wait to get into every single topic that I intend to address. Trust me, we have a lot to discuss, a whole lot. Since I last went live, a whole lot has happened. And, I wanted to go live yesterday, but I was too tired. I said, let me not carry my tired self and go on this live and schedule a live stream and then not be able to deliver and give that Frank Steven Nigerian energy. Oh, look at Ayenora. We have Mary Magdalene Ayenora in the building. Please give a round of applause to her. I'm so happy to see every one of us here. I mean, this is a wonderful audience, and I'm happy to discuss with every one of you. So please smash the like button, destroy the like button, especially the one in the live chat, the one that has love floating like a bubble, and every other what's it called, reaction. Just smash all of that, and let's push this ministry forward. Let's take it to the permanent site, like we say in Nigeria. I'm also happy to see Ronek 404. So happy to see you. So happy to see everyone. Oh, look at the legends are returning. We have another female disciple in the building. Is it a female disciple? If I say, because the name looks feminine. Anyways, enough of that. We have a lot to discuss, ladies and gentlemen. A whole lot to get into. Let me just give you a rundown of what I intend. Okay, there are some things we are going to talk about, a lot of things. Of course, the main topic is we reacting to Bibi's speech at the United Nations General Assembly that has been holding this week. And yes, we are going to get into that. But first, we are going to talk about, we are going to react to a little bit of Tucker Carlson. I'm going to give you my opinion on David Wood and John Fontaine, the debate that held, I think, yesterday. And I'm going to, give you guys something, these are the things we are going to use to open the live stream. Then we are going to talk about Michigan. We are going to talk about the Greta's flotilla. We are going to talk about Trump. I mean, this week, Trump has been a menace. Like, he has been a menace. He has been saying a lot of things. A lot of things have proceeded from the mouth of Trump. And they are all the things he has been saying are very, very hilarious. And then we are going to talk about digital ID in the UK. that's been on the news lately. And yeah, we're going to be talking about that. And then finally, we'll be talking about BB's speech. So that's the breakdown. So first, some preliminary topics like Tucker Carlson, David Wood, and John Fontaine, Tess Holiday. You'll get to know who that person is soon. We'll talk about Michigan. We'll talk about the flotilla. We'll talk about Trump. We'll talk Trump and the things he has been saying this week. We'll talk about digital ID in the UK. And then we'll talk about BB's speech. So that's what we'll be discussing. And let's get straight into it. I'm excited. I'm excited for this live stream. So let's get straight into it. Beginning with, how do I begin this? Before I proceed, let me recognize the VIPs, people who are putting their money where my mouth is. I'm talking about Peter Henderson. To the save the John Cone Fund. Please leave my able admin alone. Don't harass him, okay? Do not harass him. He's doing great work. And I don't pay him, okay? He's doing it for free. Some people don't know this. Let me tell you something about me and John. I don't know what John looks like. Like, I don't know what he looks like. I've never been in the same room with him. Okay, we met online and our friendship has been pure online friendship. Okay, I'm telling you. So when you see him in the comments doing this fantastic job as a moderator, just keep that in mind. And this is the mind-blowing things that I witness as a YouTube content creator. I'm blessed. Okay, I'm blessed to have John on my corner. I am so blessed. And I also want to thank you, Noam Sen. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I really appreciate it. That's $10, 10 Canadian dollars. That's a lot. In fact, that's big money. That's how, the empire is going to expand. With that money, with this amount of money, that's how this empire is going to expand. So please, guys, remember to do the YouTube thing. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you are not yet subscribed. And share this. Let your family and friends know that we are live. Okay? Let them know that we are live and we have a lot to talk about. That the Nigerian prince is about to give his edict and is about to tell us what the state is about to give us the latest update on the state of the empire, the YouTube empire that I'm running. Okay? And it's very important. If anyone misses this, the likelihood of them making it to the kingdom of God is slim. Anyways, let's get into it. Okay, so first, let's begin with this.
Gaslighting.
So this is from Milk Bar TV. This guy does amazing compilation videos that are like he's really like a professional when it comes to, on Twitter especially, when it comes to doing these compilation videos that really like expose the hypocrisy of certain people. And in this case, it is the nefarious nature of Tucker Carlson, which I've been talking about throughout this week. And that's not what this live stream is going to be about, and I will not spend so much time talking about it. But this is a summary of everything I've been talking about this week with regards to Tucker Carlson.
Gaslighting is a term you might hear a lot.
And I can just sort of picture the scene in a lamplit room with a bunch of guys sitting around eating hummus, thinking about what do we do about this guy telling the truth about us? We must make him stop talking. And I was,
just thinking about this, I'm like, it's just that I don't know what hummus look like. I don't even know what it looks like. I don't know what it is. Of course, all I know about it is that it is, a what is it called now? A Middle Eastern dish. I don't even know what it looks like, but with what Tucker said in that during the memorial, I feel like I need to find one somewhere, wherever it is sold around where I live, and just buy it and proudly identify as a hummus eater. But I'm not. It's not one of our local dishes. But of course, he's referring to those who planned the crucifixion of Jesus as describing them as hummus eaters. And it's just part of the wisdom of Tucker Carlson. This is the reason why when we look at Tucker Carlson, this person is very brilliant, wise, and of good intention. When you listen to Tucker Carlson, you hear a man with very good intention. Somebody who is obviously not a gaslighter,
It's on Twitter, but I kept getting texts from people like, oh, they're so mad at you about the hummus or something. Hummus. Since when is hummus Jew? It's an Arab food. I mean, the whole thing is so bonkers.
So what are you trying to? You see, when Tucker Carlson gives this kind of defense, oh, it is a Middle Eastern food. It is not a Jewish food. So what is he saying? What is he saying? That the Arabs crucified Jesus? Was that what the whole speech he was giving was about? Huh? The Arabs are the ones responsible for the crucifixion of Jesus. It's kind of the wisdom of Tucker, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Arabs. The Arabs are responsible. And I can imagine, a bunch of Arabs from Saudi Arabia, sitting in a lamp-lit room, eating hummus, discussing, how to execute the Messiah. It will not be out of character for the Arabs anyway. Crucifying and persecuting Christians is not something that they are alien to. So maybe those are people he's referring to. Maybe he was referring to the Arabs, not the Jews.
And as someone who has zero interest in participating in any kind of boycott, much less against Israel, I'm just not interested. I'm happy, whatever, buy the hummus and use the software. I don't care.
Gaslighting is a form of manipulation where, over a long period of time, often months or years, a gaslighter slowly leads their victim to believe that they can't trust themselves. So they have to trust the gaslighter instead.
Supporting Israel because it's an ally.
I don't even know what those words mean.
I think Israel's a great country that deserves our support, as I do.
And who is Israel that depends on the United States, that is a vassal state of the United States, supposedly, to say we don't care what the president of the United States wants in his foreign policy?
That's not the behavior of an ally.
They both.
Oh, but he doesn't know what an ally is. You see, this is the brilliance of Tucker Carlson. You see, I love Tucker Carlson because he has mastered the craft of speaking from both sides of your mouth. One day he's like, I don't even know what an ally is. And the next day he's like, that's not how an ally is supposed to behave. So what is he talking? You don't know what an ally is, but you know how an ally is supposed to behave? You see how Tucker Carlson speaks from both sides of his mouth. And people often miss this about Tucker. But, I'm happy that, somebody is doing a compilation that makes it easy for people to just see the hypocrisy and how he gaslights his audience and tries to gaslight his critics as well.
What that means to be an ally.
Here are the tactics the gaslighter might use. Denial.
When you said that Hamas is more like a political organization
Hamas seems more like a political organization
than a terror group.
I didn't say that.
Minimization.
Look, I never want to fight about Israel, ever. I'm actually pretty moderate on the subject, I think.
Wow.
Projection.
But it is an obsession for Zionists in a very unhealthy way.
Put downs.
And it's actually the definition of craziness. You see things that aren't there.
Threatening.
But I didn't think there was a realistic possibility that my kids could be enmeshed in it. Now there is. And if they're threatening your children, I don't care what their justification is, they're your enemy.
These tactics are used day after day over the course of months or years. After being told hundreds of times that they're too dramatic, victims might slowly start to believe it.
I can sincerely say Jerusalem is probably my favorite city in the world. Well, it is, of course, my favorite city. There's no more amazing place than Jerusalem. I'd like to live there. Hardly against Israel.
As someone who's really tried to avoid this topic and bears no animus toward Israel.
I have a million interesting concerns, in fact, almost all of them, that have nothing to do with Jews or Israel, or it's just not an obsession for me at all.
I've become obsessed with Israel. I just want to get away from the topic. A lot of other
Daily journal. Record what happens in your day, especially interactions with the gaslighter, so you can go back in the future and review events from your own perspective, rather than your gaslighter's perspective.
I think when it comes to what it has to do with Tucker Carlson, it's important to journal, to keep notes, to remember what he said in the past, because he's about to change it. He's about to change something that he said in the past and make it look like, oh, I did not say that. Oh, did I? When did I make such a statement? When did I make that kind of comment? I never said something like that. It is bound to happen. And you can see him flip-flop over issues. 1 minute he's like, I don't care about Israel. And the next minute, in fact, I feel Tucker is a, like I said before, I think he's a real pathological liar at this point. Like, he lies a lot. He contradicts himself a lot. He says one thing in the morning, he says something else in the evening. You quote him, he says, no, I did not say that. I was taken out of context. He lies and lies and lies and lies. He lies even in the face of the truth. He doesn't Tucker Carlson has no regard for the truth. No regard for the truth. And it became clear to me. So many people came to realize it when he started talking against Israel. But for me, like I said in previous live streams, it became a realization for me when he did that interview with Andrew Tate. And the things he said, I cannot forget what he said. I remember him comparing, he compared Andrew Tate to WikiLeaks, like the person who runs WikiLeaks. He compared Andrew Tate to that guy, saying that this person is being prosecuted the same way the person who was in charge of WikiLeaks was being persecuted and that he had to flee. I'm like, Jesus Christ. One of these persons leaked government, confidential information that he's not supposed to leak. He leaked it, and for that reason, he's declared wanted and had to flee the country. Even though, yeah, you can say I don't agree with leaking confidential information, stealing government data and releasing it to the public, but doing that is not the same as running a sex trafficking operation in Romania. And Tucker compared Andrew Tate to the founder of WikiLeaks without an iota of he said it so brazenly, with so much boldness, with so much confidence. I was shocked. Like when I watched the opening monologue before the interview, I was shocked. It's the same thing he did when he interviewed the president of Iran. Of course, he did not go so far as to compare him with someone who, people respect in the West or do not respect. Whatever it is, he did not make any silly comparison. But he's like, we don't expect him to say the truth. I don't expect him to say the truth, but I think it is worth listening to what he has to say. We need to hear him out. And you have to keep in mind that there are some questions we can't ask him, and we don't expect to hear the truth from him. And I'm like, okay, so you are doing an interview. Tucker is doing an interview with somebody that he knows is going to lie, or is most likely not going to be honest. And he's aware of the fact that this person is going to be dishonest. And he knows that there are certain questions he can't ask this person. And he's going to go ahead and do the interview and hope for the best. And while he's hoping that maybe some nugget of truth is going to come out, he's like, you guys need to hear him out. It's free speech. Freedom of speech includes the freedom to spread lies. And that is what my job is, according to Tucker Carlson. That is what his job is. He's the part of free speech. When we talk about free speech, we say free speech includes the right to tell lies. And that's true. Freedom of speech includes you have the right under freedom of speech to tell lies. And Tucker is like, that's how he's going to exercise his freedom of speech. He's going to use it to tell lies. So for me, whenever Tucker Carlson has as much credibility. In fact, let me not insult CNN. CNN, BBC, MSNBC, every news channel that you are like, this mainstream media, the mainstream media is corrupt. They don't tell the truth. They don't get to the bottom of the truth. All of that is true about the mainstream media, but Tucker Carlson is worse than the mainstream media. He is worse than the mainstream media. Trust me, if you read news articles, people always say this, that the mainstream media lies. And yes, they do. They do lie. But listen to them when they report the news. Read their news articles and see how careful they are. What I mean careful is that they don't tell outrageous lies. And even when they do, at least they issue a correction, right? Especially when public pressure mounts, they issue a correction and say, oh, we made a mistake. And yeah, sometimes they tell brazen lies, but often it's because they are getting it from an unreliable source that they think is reliable. But Tucker Carlson is worse. Tucker Carlson will talk to somebody he knows is an unreliable source and still treat everything the person says as if it's reliable and be like, you know what? I'm not saying this person is reliable. That's what he's going to say. He will be like, I don't know if this person is reliable. I'm not sure about his. In fact, he's not careful. Tucker is not careful. You know what? In this live stream, we are going to look at an interview that CNN did with one of the leaders of Hamas. They did an interview with one of the leaders of Hamas recently. Okay, I think the interview is like a day, happened yesterday or the day before. And you can see how the interviewer was grilling the leader of Hamas, grilling him. And then when you look at that interview, compared to what Tucker Carlson did with Vladimir Putin and what he did with the president of Iran, and then you see that CNN is so much better. It's way, way better than Tucker Carlson.
One of the things that I really object to now is this relentless focus on Israel, which, by the way, is a foreign country that I have nothing to do with other than having been a visitor there and really enjoyed it. And it's now at the center of the conversation in my country when my country is degrading at high speed. We have a lot of concerns here. I just resent the kind of solipsism that pulls everything back to the concerns of a foreign country.
Well, I don't think I'm obsessed with Israel. Israeli censorship. Israel.
So many conspiracy theories on what's going on with Charlie Kirk. Israel assassinated him.
Let's say I got drunk and like slept with some random girl and got caught doing it. I would probably deny it because I wouldn't want to be caught doing that because it's an awful thing to do.
And you do see it a lot online where everybody on, your X feed is talking about the Jews. How is that good? It's not good for the Jews. It's not good for anybody else. It's all kind of a species of mental illness.
To learn more about
Can you imagine the very person who does this? This is this is the kind of person we are dealing with. Of course, we've looked at it before, but every time I look at it, my disgust and my disdain for Tucker just is revived. It's as if it is sleeping, and then when I see clips like this, it is revived. I'm like, this human being. And the fact that there are people who defend this guy, especially Megyn Kelly, I don't really understand her defense and her willingness to say that these people are just criticizing the state of Israel. I'm like, it has been said, especially by Dennis Prager, who is in the hospital, in a recent interview that he did, he said that it is crazy for people to say that that Megyn Kelly is an anti-Semite. And he's right. Megyn Kelly is not an anti-Semite. She's a coward. Okay? That is the thing. People don't know how to give people the right accusation. Megyn Kelly is not an anti-Semite. She's a coward. The cowardice of Megyn Kelly is to say, no, I have a problem with Tucker. Is to say, you know what? Yes, the criticism against Israel is on the rise, and people under 30 don't care about the state of the state of Israel or even show support for the nation. But that will not make me turn against the nation of Israel. That is bravery. Bravery is looking at a sea of opposition and saying, no, I am going to speak the truth regardless. And not this every 5 minutes you remind us that people under 30 don't no longer show support for Israel. Okay? Is that why you should now, see Tucker Carlson as somebody who is just giving mild criticism and say Candace Owens is just giving mild criticism and be their defender? There are certain allies or there are certain supporters that you have and you are like, it would have been nice if you were not a supporter, because this kind of support is just useless at this point. Where's the girl? I am blown away. My Yoruba sister that is staying in Canada, I just saw your super chat and I was like, woo, glory to God. Distract me, please. I wanted to say don't distract me with super chats, but I'm like, no, please distract me. I want to be distracted. I want to be distracted by super chats. Let me just take some of them before we continue. This is from Peter Henderson. He said, just kidding. Maybe just know JK. Okay, John. Just kidding. JK Rowling. JK may be your friend, but he's my little brother. I will pick on him as much as I want. Okay, please go ahead. Let me not stop you. Go ahead and continue picking on him, until I send Mossad your way. But I will just tell them to, shake you up a little bit. I will not tell them to do anything more than that because I need you to keep sending me super chats. Where's girl? Thank you for the $13 Canadian dollar. That is amazing. Thank you so much. I'll continue doing the good work. God will bless you too. I really appreciate it. Anyways, so what was I saying? I was talking about Tucker, and I'm going to continue playing this video so that
About gaslighting. Visit therapistaid.com.
Okay, this is the end of it. This is the end of it, actually. Anyways, so that is the first thing we are going to be reacting. We just reacted to the first thing. Now, the next thing we are going to be looking at is, or I'll just be giving you my opinion on it. It's not like we are going to play like clips from it. And I'm talking about the debate between David Wood and John Fontaine. I think that's his name, John Fontaine. And he's ginger. I guess he's a ginger revert. He's one of those gingers that finally saw the light of Islam and decided to embrace it wholeheartedly. And it's kind of interesting, you know, to see European converts to Islam. Anyways, they were discussing the Islamic dilemma, and I was watching it. I could not stop laughing. Anyway, it's kind of like anytime I tune in to see a Muslim debate, David Wood or AP or God Logic or the rest of them, it's always like, for me, it's always an opportunity to just laugh, because they always come with the most ridiculous argument. You know, there are debates that I've watched online, like especially when it has to do with Israel, that gets me angry. Like, I'm like, how is this person going to say this? This is wrong. And I'm just furious. I'm angry. I'm like, why would someone say something like this? But when I watch the Muslims debate, it just is amusing to me. It is so amusing to me because of the kind of argument that they present. It's so amusing. I'm like, really? People think like this? I mean, he said, to his credit, it wasn't like other Muslim apologists who will be like, the Quran, the Bible has been corrupted, the gospel has been corrupted, and the Torah has been corrupted. No, he's like, no. The Torah and the gospels have not been corrupted. It's just the Torah and the gospels that Allah was referring to and Muhammad was referring to is not the same as the one that Jews and Christians have. He's referring to a different Torah and a different gospel. And according to him, this Torah was lost. Like it was delivered by Moses, and after Moses delivered it, it was lost, and then it was later revealed to Jesus, and then Jesus also revealed the gospel as well as the Torah. So Jesus revealed the Torah that was first revealed to Moses, and then revealed the gospel. After doing that, he handed it over to his disciples, and that too was lost. And it was like the Torah, the Injil is not like a written down book; it's like an oral. Jesus did not have a book. It was just the things that he spoke that via the Injil. That is the Injil, anyways. And it's like later it was written down because somehow Muhammad saw it and was referencing it when he was talking about the Injil. That's the Gospels, or the Gospel singular, not the Gospels like we know it, like John, Mark, Luke, and Matthew. He said, no, this is a different gospel. And this gospel was present in 7th century Arabia and probably nowhere else. Okay, that's and I'm like, you know, if there was evidence for this, then it would have been like, okay, true. And what is his proof? And that's the question. Okay, what is your proof of this? What is the proof of this? It's like, oh, the Quran referenced this Torah. The Quran referenced this Injil. The Quran referenced it. Okay, so the proof of the existence of this book is that the Quran quotes it. And it's so ridiculous. I remember an analogy that David Wood gave during the debate. He said, so if I tell you something, if I say the gospel, let me not say the gospel. Let's say, if I say, the Declaration of Independence. In the Declaration of Independence, my name is written there. Frank Steven is in the Declaration of Independence. And then you go to the Declaration of Independence, and my name is not there. You can't find my name anywhere in the Declaration of Independence. Now, there are two possible explanations, or two options that was presented. That was like John Fontaine had two options. Option one, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm lying. I have no idea what I'm talking about, and I'm just lying. I'm just making things up. When I said that my name is in the Declaration of Independence, I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm obviously lying. Or I'm not referring to the Declaration of Independence that is in the United States. That United States founding document is not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to something other than that. Which is most likely the case? Now, there is a likelihood that, yes, I may be referring to another Declaration of Independence. But if there is no proof that that Declaration of Independence exists, it is most likely that I'm referring to the Declaration of Independence that everyone is familiar with, and I am wrong. It's not plausible. Anything is possible. It's not anything is possible. It is possible that there was this Injil and this Torah that was going around in 7th century Medina, but there is no evidence for it. The most likely explanation is that the writer of the Quran did not know what he was talking about. When he said the Torah and the Gospels, he did not know what he was talking about. He was not referring to a book that we don't have now. He was referring to the one we have now, but did not know what he was talking about. And again, it also shows that Allah is not a clear communicator, of course, which is something that at this point is obvious when you look at the Quran. Allah is not a clear communicator. He needs the help of John Fontaine to make us realize that he's referring to a book that we have no evidence for. John Fontaine has to come along to let us understand that, yes, there is this Torah and Injil that exists in 7th century Arabia, and it's not the one we have now. And Allah is so incompetent in preserving this that this book, is lost. This book, this document, this manuscript, whatever it is, that is supposed to show that Islam is true, and it's supposed to convince Jews and Christians later on down the line in history. It's supposed to convince me. This document that is alleged to exist in the 7th century, that's supposed to convince everyone that Islam is true. Allah allows that document to be lost, that we don't even have any fragment of it. And according to John Fontaine, where the place where the fragment of this Torah and Injil exists is in the very Quran that says we should judge. So manuscript of this Torah and Injil that he's referring to only exists in the Quran and in the Hadiths. I'm telling you, that is his argument. It is that ridiculous. You should go and watch it. And the funny thing about it, this is one thing I love about Muslim debaters, is when they are saying something so ridiculous, so ridiculous, and they don't just realize it. I don't know if they don't realize it or they're just, I don't know. I don't just know. This level of confidence, because I'm like, do you realize just how ridiculous your arguments sound? But I guess they don't like realize it, because they just keep saying it and just keep going with it like that. And I'm like, dude, this is ridiculous. There is no way this makes sense. What is most likely going on is what any sane person can see, which is that your God and your prophet are clueless about what they are talking about. I mean, the Quran quotes the Talmud as the Torah. It quotes the Talmud as the Torah. Oh, and we are supposed to believe that this is supposed to be about a different book that we no longer have today. Of course not. Of course not. Anyway, speaking of ridiculous statements, here is a shorter one that is not it does not go on for 2.5 hours. This is from Tess Holiday, and she's talking about her support for Palestine. And she has some very interesting things to say. I'm telling you, when you listen to this, you're going to be blown away. Okay, pay attention to Tess Holiday.
This earth, and I feel like if you're quiet when so many injustices are happening, not just here, but Palestine, Sudan, Congo, etc., then I literally blocked my brother yesterday. I'm not speaking to my mom, my stepmom, my dad. I'm collecting them like Pokemon. I'm like, who can I block next?
What do you expect from somebody who has no issues with blocking her arteries and her veins? I mean, if she can block her own veins, is it her mother she will not block? If she can block her own progress health-wise, is it her mother and her siblings and her relatives that she will not block? I mean, she doesn't even block them for Palestine. She just blocked them for the heck of it. She's blocking her own health for the heck of it, just for the fun of it, just because that is who she is. Okay, she's blocking a lot of things, So I'm very sure Israel is not going to be offended. When they look at this person, they're like, you know what? Keep blocking your relatives for Palestine. And then she's like, oh, when there are injustice is going on in Palestine, in Congo, in where is it she mentioned? In Sudan. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Nobody is talking about, you see, nobody, of course, not nobody, but most of the talks about war in the West it does not involve Sudan and Congo. Okay, when you see people parading in the streets, waving flags, I've never seen the flag of Sudan or the flag of Congo. I've not seen anything like that. I've never seen any symbol of showing solidarity for any of these places. So don't just lump it up as if you care about every single one of these places. No, it's about Palestine. Okay, don't just sneak Congo and Sudan in like you care. You don't. Okay. And that is not why you did not. I'm not sure you blocked your brother because your brother did not care about Congo. Tess Holiday, that's not what you did. You blocked your siblings and your relatives and your parents because they don't care about Palestine. And I will argue maybe you probably blocked them before Palestine because I'm very sure they look at you health-wise and they're like, my dear, you need to do something about this weight. And you're like, you know what? You are blocked. Again, for somebody like Tess Holiday, with the kind of lifestyle she has, I don't think she understands that she doesn't have the luxury of blocking people. You need a lot of people around you, okay? So that when you have that heart attack that is in your destiny, that is already written in your future, when you have it, there will be somebody around to take you to the hospital. Now is not the time to be blocking relatives. Please, for your own sake, unblock your relatives so that they can be around to help you when that heart attack that is well in your destiny, when it begins to manifest, okay? Please.
It stinks, but I just think that you have to stand for something, and I think
this lady is so fat she can't stand. Look at what is happening to that couch. Just look at what she's doing to that couch. Lady, you can't even stand. You can't even stand against obesity. Talk more of stand for Palestine. Okay? You can't even stand for your health. Talk more of stand for Palestine. Please.
as you get older or mature, and I feel like you guys are already far more mature than I was at your age, you have to stand for what matters to you. And when you see things happening, you have to say something, in my opinion. And I understand that there's like safety concerns, and I have a lot of privilege as a cis white woman saying those things, but I can't stay silent. I never will. I said yesterday, like, the right people will find you. The right opportunities will find you. The right friends will find you. The right job.
The right people have not found you, my dear. Tess, the right people have not found you. That is why you are the way you are. The right people have not found you. The right people are yet to find you. If they find you, you become your weight loss journey will be as remarkable as that of Adele. The right people are yet to find this lady. Right people are yet to find her. And but if you want your life to turn out like Tess Holiday, if you look at her and you're like, look at that, this is what I want to be. I'm so happy to see the people that are pro-Palestine, that are pro-jihadists, that are pro whatever it is that they are pro. All the things that they support. When I see people that support it, these are the kind of things that happen, and you're like, you know what? Thank God that these are the people that support what they support. Imagine what it would look like if it was people who are fit and who are sensible that are supporting Palestine. Of course, those kind of people will not do such a thing. That is why we have Tess Holiday telling us about Palestine. And speaking of Islam, here is news from Dearborn, Michigan. Before we go to that, let me remind every one of us, please subscribe, ring the notification bell, and God will richly reward you. And I want to take this super chat from Peter Henderson. Yes. Come on. The gospel, even the Injil, it's not just the Torah. The Injil, the Torah, all over the Bible, there is mention of Muhammad. The word Ahmed was not used, but it was well mentioned. When you see description of false prophets, you know that Muhammad fits the description 100%, of course. And yeah. All right, guys, remember, please smash the like button. Destroy that like button if you're yet to smash it. And subscribe if you're not yet subscribed to the channel. Ring the notification bell if you've not yet so that you can, whenever we go live again, so people often miss it. So if one of the reasons why you miss it is if you are yet to ring the notification bell. So do all of that. And again, very important, very, very important. Buy me a coffee. Go to www.buymeacoffee.com/NIG perspective. You can see the link in the comment that I just highlighted. Thank you, John, for making sure people see that and they go and support the channel, support what we are doing. Anyways, we are going to be looking at this news from Dearborn, Michigan. It's very interesting news. So, as you can see from the headline, Dearborn mayor gives statement, doesn't apologize to residents he called racist. Now, according to this news headline, one that was released earlier before this, there has been reports in a town hall meeting in Dearborn, Michigan. People made complaints, various complaints. The first complaint that was made was by a pastor who, so they're about to name a street after a journalist, an Arab American journalist. And one thing you need to know about this Arab American journalist, his name is Osama something, okay? Let me see if his name is here. It's mentioned here, if I can say it quickly. Osama Siblani. That's the name of the journalist. One thing you should know about this journalist is that he praised Hezbollah and praised Hamas and thought Hezbollah and Hamas are like wonderful freedom fighters, So, and a city or a street rather in Dearborn, Michigan was about to have a new name. A new name was about to be given to that street. And the name is the name of this Osama Siblani, an Arab American journalist who is a huge fan of Hezbollah and Hamas. So, this person is supporting all the right people. And here is the pastor objecting to the decision to name a street after this person.
Hezbollah, bombed the embassy in Beirut, and including many Americans. So I just feel it's quite inappropriate.
You are an Islamophobe, and although you live here,
just look at that. It's a very reasonable criticism. The criticism is very reasonable. This journalist praised Hezbollah. This journalist praised Hamas, and we know that this as organizations and these groups are jihadist groups. They are terrorist groups. They've committed, heinous acts of terrorism. Talk about Hamas and what they did on October 7th. Talk about Hezbollah and their attack on the United States. And now you're about to honor a journalist who is a fan of these two dangerous terrorist organizations and who has praised this dangerous terrorist organization. You're about to honor that journalist by naming a street in the United States after him. And the pastor is like, I don't think this is a good idea. I don't think this is nice. Look at this person, look at this person's record, and look at what he's celebrating, and look at that. And the response from the mayor is, let us hear it again. This is the response from the mayor.
You are an Islamophobe.
Yeah, the response from the mayor is to call the pastor an Islamophobe.
And although you live here, I want you to know as mayor, you are not welcome here.
Yeah, it's to tell the pastor that he's not welcome in Dearborn, Michigan, for having a very reasonable view that any sensible person should. This is America. This is Dearborn, Michigan. Not all of America, but this is Dearborn, Michigan. This is amazing. This is amazing. A Christian nation, so to speak, a nation that is founded on Christian values. And minus even the Christian values. A terrorist organization or a journalist that praises terror organizations in the Middle East will not get a street named after him in Saudi Arabia. They will not get a street, or a journalist that praises this group will not get a street named after them in the United Arab Emirates. They will not get a street named after them in Oman or Kuwait. That will not happen in any of these countries. They will not get a street named after them in Egypt. Where they will have a street named after them is in places like Pakistan, Afghanistan, Gaza, the West Bank, Syria, Lebanon. Those are the kind of places where people who are terrorists and those who praise terrorists are going to be celebrated. Like minus the America is a Christian country part, minus that part. Even some countries in the Middle East will not do what is will not allow to happen, or will not even suggest what is happening in Dearborn, Michigan. That means what the kind of Muslims that are coming to the Middle East are the type that sensible nations in the Middle East will not accept. You're not even getting the point I'm trying to make is you're not even getting the Saudi Arabian type of Islam. That's not what is being exported to you. You're not getting the United Arab Emirates style of Islam. That's not what is coming to you. You are getting the Pakistani style. You are getting the Afghanistan style. You're getting the Iran style. That is what is coming to you, the worst of the worst. And any person who opposes that is tagged an Islamophobe. By that metric, then the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia is Islamophobe. Is an Islamophobe. The Crown Prince of the United Arab Emirates is an Islamophobe, because these people will not allow this kind of nonsense to happen in their country. They won't do it. And this is the response. This is the response to somebody who is stating something that is sensible, reasonable.
And the day you move out of the city will be the day that I launch a parade celebrating the fact that you moved out of the city, because you are now somebody who believes in coexistence.
Yes, to believe in coexistence, according to this mayor, to believe in coexistence is to be okay with an Arab journalist, with a street being named after an Arab journalist that is a huge fan of Hamas and Hezbollah. That is what it means to coexist with Islam. That is what it means. That's what it means to coexist with Muslims. What it means to coexist with Muslims is to coexist with people who celebrate terrorism. This is moderate Islam. This is a mayor. This is a mayor in a city in the United States. This is not happening in Pakistan. This is not happening in Afghanistan. This is not news from Afghanistan. This is not news from Iran. This is news from Dearborn, Michigan. It's quite unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. Here's another example of the crazy things that is happening in Dearborn.
But the mosque.
This is from the same town hall.
But the mosques in East Dearborn are now at times waking us up at 5:30 in the morning with the call to prayer.
This is Dearborn resident Andrea Unger at last night's city council meeting, stating that mosques using outdoor loudspeakers for their call to prayer should not be allowed, and says she believes it's not supposed to be allowed per city ordinance.
The noise complaints have been made out and the police have made numerous visits. What is the next step?
There was some question whether or not any outdoor loudspeakers are allowed, something that was not clarified, only that more evidence is being gathered. But CBS Detroit did examine Dearborn's noise ordinance and found that loudspeakers between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. are in violation of the ordinance.
But the mosque.
Well, nothing is going to be done, of course. They're like, oh, we need to investigate. This is what they need to investigate, by the way, just so people know. This is Dearborn, Michigan. This is Dearborn, Michigan, ladies and gentlemen. That sound you are hearing is coming from Dearborn, Michigan. And they're like, oh, we need to investigate if it is actually happening. Here is proof that it is actually happening. What is the likelihood that this is going to stop? It's most likely will not stop. Most likely would not stop. And this is in the United States. Do you know that in Saudi Arabia, mosques are not allowed to do this? Even in Saudi Arabia. That's what I'm saying. You're getting the worst of the worst. Like, you're not getting the best of the Middle East. You're getting the worst. Even in Saudi Arabia, mosques are not allowed to do this. Mosques are not allowed to do this in Saudi Arabia. Mosques are not allowed to do this in Saudi Arabia, but they are doing it in Michigan. And the city council is like, oh, are we sure this is happening? We need to investigate. We need to really look into this to understand if it really is. Of course, they all know it is happening. They all know it is happening. They all know it is happening. You know, so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. And as this news is here is here's a tweet from Matt Walsh about this. Matt Walsh was really as he was not having it on Twitter. He was really condemning what was happening in Dearborn, and the whole thing. His response is what I find very funny. He said in this tweet, "The situation in Dearborn is completely insane. The more you look into it, the crazier it gets. It's even worse than Little Mogadishu in Minnesota. They are really building an Islamic capital right in the middle of the American heartland, and nobody is doing anything to stop it." That's true. That is 100% true. And here's something else he pointed out that I think is very interesting. He said, the mayor of Dearborn, Michigan is Abdullah Mahmoud. The guy running against him in the mayoral race is Nagil Al-Mudegi. I hope I pronounced the name. Let me see who this person is. Just give me a second. Let's see who this person is. So this is the Nagil whatever. And you can see that he clearly is also he's also a Muslim. Or an Arab, at least. Is he a Muslim? I want to know if he's. I want to know if he's a Muslim. I don't know what to make of that surname. Anyways, let's just finish the tweet. Finish reading the tweet. So the person who is running as against the Muslim mayor, who is already like the seated mayor, is this person, Nagil Al-Mudegi, and the mayor's chief of staff is Zainab Hussein. The police chief is Issa Shaheen. He oversees the commander of the patrol division, Madub. So let's read this again. The mayor of Dearborn, Michigan is Abdullah Hamud. Abdullah Hamud. That's the mayor. And the person running against him is this person with this name. And the chief of staff is Zainab Hussein. The police chief is Issa Shaheen. And he oversees the commander of the patrol division, that is Ali Abbasi. Don't forget City Council member Kamal Asawafi and Mustafa Hamu. This is not Sokoto. This is not Sokoto, ladies and gentlemen. This is not Zamfara. This is not Jalingo. This is not Niger. Okay? Okay, these are states in northern Nigeria. This is not Chad. This is not Egypt. This is not Sudan, ladies and gentlemen. This is not Sudan. This is not Kafanchan in Kaduna. This is not this is not Tunisia. This is not Pakistan. This is Dearborn, Michigan. The mayor, let me read this again. The mayor, Abdullah Hamud. The person running against the mayor, Nagi Amudegi. The mayor's chief of staff, Zainab Hussein. The police chief, Issa Shaheen. The person overseeing the patrol division, Mabdu Bazil. The public health director, Ali Abazid. And then city council member, Kamal Asawafi and Mustafa. What is the likelihood that honor killing is going on in Dearborn, Michigan, and it goes unreported? What is the likelihood that people are being silenced for apostasy in Dearborn, Michigan, and it goes unreported? What is the likelihood that you already have soft Sharia in Dearborn, Michigan, and it goes unreported? I mean, what we are seeing now is what is reported. Imagine what is not reported. And if you don't know anything about Muslims, especially when they find themselves in the United States, is that they are going to be experts in covering things up. What is the likelihood that there is a mini grooming gang in Dearborn, Michigan, waiting to be uncovered? Okay, let's... Here's what he said after this. This is the remaining of this tweet. Question: is this what our founding fathers had in mind? That's a question that the residents of Dearborn can consider as they awake at 4:30 a.m. to the Muslim call to prayer, blasting over the loudspeakers by the local mosque. They can keep thinking about it as they get in their car and drive to walk down Osama Siblani Street. Is this America? Is this America? If the entire country resembles Dearborn in 50 years, in what sense will America still exist? Well, ask the people of Lebanon. Ask the people of Lebanon. They will tell you how it happens. Okay? They'll tell you how it happens. But what is the solution? What is the solution to this? You know, most times on this channel, we talk about problems. But what is the solution? For me, the solution is there are twofold. The solution is twofold. On the one hand, Americans need to wake up. They need to wake up and realize that, you see this thing, we say, look at what is happening in Iran. Look at what is happening in Pakistan. And we are all separated from this by one big ocean. So we should not be worried about it. It is naive for any person to think like that. That problem you think is far away is already close by. And if you check your birth rate, it is declining. And you see those Muslims, they are breeding very fast. Okay? And that is how Dearborn is now like it's now like Pakistan. Okay? So you cannot ignore this. So you need to wake up and realize that the threat of Islam is a very real threat. It's not something to overlook. It's not something to ignore. It's not something to say, oh, it is not happening here. It is happening. It is here. It is already, in fact, there's already Sharia city, proposed Sharia city in Texas. Texas. Okay? So that is the first thing. Americans need to wake up, realize that the problem is here. That's one. Second is, if there is any law in America that opposes what the Muslims are doing, then every American needs to ensure that that law is enforced. And should not stand for it being repealed. Ensure that Muslims abide by the law. Ensure that they abide by the law. Ensure that law enforcement, whether the law enforcement person in charge of law enforcement is Mustafa or is Hakim or is Abdullah or is Abdul, whoever it is, must enforce the law. And people must ensure. And you have to, even though you don't live in Michigan, especially if you're a pundit, you have to make this a mainstream conversation. You have to put what is happening in places like Dearborn. You have to make it part of the mainstream conversation when it has to do with Islam. You have to make this mainstream. People need to, it's no longer time to just ignore this problem and act like it is not there. It's time to highlight it and talk about it and ensure that these Muslims obey the law of the land. Don't allow what is happening in the UK happen in the United States, even though it is already happening. But don't let it get to the degree that it has gotten to in the United Kingdom. So you have to be alert. You have to monitor this. you have to devote parts of your journalistic resources in covering what these Muslims are doing, because they love to hide. The best way to curtail, one of the ways to curtail whatever Muslims do when they go to a particular place is to expose what they are doing and not let them get away with hiding whatever it is that they are doing. Like this call to prayer and all these things that they are doing in Dearborn should become mainstream news. You know how you forced CNN to cover a stabbing that went on in, is it Minneapolis? Okay, yeah, I think it's Minneapolis or Minnesota, one of those places. The way you made it mainstream, that is how you should make it mainstream what the Muslims are doing in Dearborn. They have been doing it. They have been getting away with it for a while now. And it's time to throw more light into it. Make it popular conversation, like mainstream conversation. and ensure that the law is being kept by these people. The next thing you have to do after all of that is that I don't think is to this idea of, oh, this is not what the founding fathers had in mind. The solution to that is what? You're not going to allow Muslim migrants into America? I don't think that is the solution, especially if they show a desire to assimilate and are willing to become a productive, like Dearborn, there are good Muslims and that can be productive members of society, and you should allow them into your country. I know this might sound like something that I should not say. Oh, no, don't say that. Every Muslim should stay in their country. No, that is not always the case, okay? I mean, you have Sufis. They are Muslims too, and they are not as deadly and problematic as Salafis, right? But one of the most effective way, if you ask me, the most effective way to handle this issue is to become evangelical again, especially to the Muslim community. You have to go to those communities and preach the gospel to them. That is, I believe that in God's grand scheme, I believe this is God's plan for why he made the West the way the West is and make it a place where Muslims want to rush to. Okay, it was not always the case that Muslims wanted to live in the West. They wanted to conquer the West more than they wanted to live in it. But many Muslims have come to the West not because they want to conquer it, but because they want a better life. That's the truth. You know, they want a better life, and then when they got the better life, then they get the better life, they're like, oh, can we conquer this place as well? And that is, I believe that is part of God's design, to draw these people out of the cesspool of Sharia that has been like a shield, shielding them from the truth of the gospel. I mean, how difficult, can you imagine how difficult it is to get the gospel to a place like Pakistan, to be an evangelist in a place like Pakistan, to be an evangelist in a place like Afghanistan, to be an evangelist in a place like Somalia, to be an evangelist in a place like Sudan, and all these other Muslim majority countries where people who preach the gospel end up dead, like they do in Abuja and Kaduna and other places in northern Nigeria, for example, like they do in Borno and Sambisa. But now these people are coming to the West. This is an opportunity for Christians. This is your opportunity to get these Muslims to be exposed to the gospel. And the reason why Muslims are taking over the West, one of the reasons is because Christians in the West have failed in their duty to preach the gospel. They just don't care about it anymore. In fact, some of them are more interested in preaching the gospel in third world countries than they are preaching the gospel to their neighbor. It's just the truth. And that is one way to really reduce as in, if you can effectively represent the gospel to every Muslim in Dearborn, Michigan, through the power of the Holy Spirit, constantly and effectively preach the gospel to these people, imagine how many of them will be converted. And that is one way to transform that society. And I believe it's something that can be done. You know. Anyways, away from that news, moving on. Let's talk about the flotilla. The flotilla. I don't know if you guys are aware of Greta and her stunts with, other people from Tunisia and Spain and Italy going over to Gaza to deliver, humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza. Well, the flotilla have a very serious, important announcement, and I need you all to pay attention.
Following the numerous attacks on our humanitarian mission to Gaza, we have gathered credible intelligence that Israel is likely to direct escalated violent attacks on the flotilla within the next 48 hours.
Oh my goodness. They have gathered intelligence. I didn't know Greta was working for the CIA, but she has gathered intelligence, guys. She has gathered intelligence that something bad is about to happen. Let's play this back.
Following the numerous attacks on our humanitarian mission to Gaza, we have gathered credible intelligence that Israel is likely to.
I just can't get over that phrase. We have gathered we've gathered credible evidence that something. Interesting.
Following the numerous attacks on our humanitarian mission to Gaza, we have gathered credible intelligence that Israel is likely to direct escalated violent attacks on the flotilla within the next 48 hours. And several governments have now reached out to citizens on board the global Smooth flotilla, warning them about an imminent Israeli attack, one that could be bigger and potentially deadlier than anything we've seen so far against our peaceful humanitarian mission, completely abiding by international law.
This is how, when I listen to people like this talk, I'm like, this is what happens when you don't have problem in life. These people don't have problem in life. You see, Westerners, when they complain about, look at how the country is, this is how our economy is. I'm like, no, that people in your country still have time to do this nonsense. It shows me that you people don't have problem. You people don't have problem. Wallahi. Have you ever wondered why is it that we don't have Nigerians or people from West Africa going over on this nonsense mission to go and deliver aid to people that need the aid, going to go and deliver aid and doing. We've received credible evidence that serious devastating attack is about to. People that are eager, they are begging to suffer. They just want to feel like something bad is happening to them. This in Nigeria, we say your problem is you don't have a problem. That is the kind of problem. The problem with people like Greta and her attention-seeking crew are people who don't have problem. Like they don't have problem in life. This is how you know this person. You don't have issues in life. Nothing is bothering you so much that you want to play victim of war. You just want to look at we were so that you can tell stories of they blew our ship and then we jumped into the water and oh my God, we were oppressed. They were trying to genocide us. Oh my. These people think genocide is like a cool thing. Like, they feel like they think being a victim of war is like a cool thing. It's so annoying and insulting the people who experience actual war. In fact, I feel the ordinary citizens and residents of Gaza should be annoyed by this nonsense. But of course, those ones don't even have shame of their own. They don't have any human decency of their own. They don't have any good sense of their own. To them, this is helpful. That these people are going to go out there and make a mess of themselves and pretend to be suffering and pretend to be victims of war. It's so insane. She's here talking like she's radioing a comrade. We've received credible intelligence. My goodness. What is for she's supposed to say? Copy, Alpha, copy, please. We've received credible intelligence of enemy ship approaching in the next 48 hours. Roger. That's my dear, go home. Go home and stop making a fool of yourself. Go home.
Israel has, by desperately fabricated smear campaigns, claiming we are terrorists, been laying the groundwork for attacks against.
Israel has not called you terrorists, but of course, you would love to be called terrorists because you think being Hamas is fun. You understand? You think being Hamas is fun, is a cool thing. Imagine if we are treated like the way they treat Hamas. It would be nice. It would be lovely.
Us using the same genocidal propaganda it deploys daily against Palestinians.
My goodness.
And there is no doubt that
Israel is about to commit acts of genocide on the flotilla. Where is the international community? Where is the international community? Israel is about to
attack so far.
How about not, driving your boats in a place that how about not finding yourself where you're not supposed to be? How about not doing that?
Have been part of tactics to intimidate us and further dehumanize Palestinians, adding to the long list of war crimes committed against civilians in the Palestinian cause.
You will not believe it, but yeah, when they are talking about the war crimes that Israel has supposedly committed, Greta is like, we are one of the victims. We are one of the victims of this war crime. Can you imagine? We are sitting in our rooms, in our houses, in our different parts of the world, chilling, having fun, and then we decided to make something that has nothing to do with us to make it all about us. And then we boarded boats with selfie sticks, with flamethrowers. What is it called? What's that stuff that they had that burnt their generator the other time? Whatever it is, you carry these things and you are parading yourselves on international waters, joblessly, doing things that if my mother was to see me doing that, she'll be like, what are you doing with your life? Is this what you want to do with the rest of your life? Don't you have something better to do? And now you're like, yeah, we are victims of genocide. We are victims of Israel's war crime. It's so interesting how Greta is no longer about climate change. Climate change is now a thing of the past for her. She's now about Gaza. Gaza is the new thing. It's the in thing right now.
Because they are scared of the power of the people, and they know that the world does not stand with war criminals. But we continue undeterred. And the closer we are to Gaza, the bigger grows the risk of escalation towards us. And this is not about the flotilla. It is about Gaza, where over 2 million people remain trapped.
This is still about Gaza. Believe me, I didn't know this whole thing was still about Gaza. For a second, I was like, is this still about Gaza? Oh, it is still about Gaza. No, Greta, I was thinking it was about you and your fleet of boats. But yeah, it is about Gaza. It is about Gaza. Now, here's the interesting thing about this. It is about Gaza. We are just doing this for Gaza. We are not doing this for ourselves. Here's the interesting thing about this statement, right? Here's the interesting thing about this statement. Here's breaking news. Gaza. Okay, so flotilla rejects Italian mediation and leaves Crete. Israel, no one will violate naval blockade. Now, what this flotilla will fail to mention is that they're trying to break a blockade that is not illegal. But for them, it's illegal because, Greta and her crew are judge, jury, and executioner, of international law. They are they are judges, juries, and executioners of international law. They will not wait for any court because, of course, that is the court is too slow to deliver justice. So they are going to take matters into their own hands, And here's what the article had to say. There is a growing apprehension about the fate of the crews of the global Sumud flotilla. Several boats are expected to leave this place, a small island eastward of Crete. For Gaza, there are about 50 nautical miles to go to the Israel naval-guarded waters in front of the Palestinian exclave. The flotilla has so far rejected calls to unload aid in Cyprus and turned back, despite threats from the Israeli government. The last authoritative intervention was that of the president of the Italian Republic, who asked the women and men of the flotilla to receive the willingness offered by the Latin Protractate of Jerusalem to carry out the task of safely delivering what solidarity has destined for the children, women, and men of Gaza. The president of Italy praised the value of the initiative, which was expressed with broad resonance and significance. However, the hastily drawn-up mediation plan by the Italian government, which would involve delivering the aid on board the humanitarian boats to Cyprus, to the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem, transferring it to Israel, and finally delivering it to Gaza by the Israeli authorities, was rejected by the activists. So, the news here is, these people, and with their aid, the Italian government have said, you know what? Bring this your aid to Cyprus, and we'll deliver it to Israel, and Israel will deliver it to Gaza. And they have refused. No. It's no longer, and they still want us to know that this is not about the boats. This is about Gaza. This is not about delivering aid. This is no longer about delivering aid, obviously, because offers have been made to help you safely deliver the aid. But no, that is not what you are interested in. You are interested in, oh, we want to get into Gaza ourselves and hand this over to the Gazans ourselves. And honestly, a part of me is like, you know what? How about Israel allow you guys to do that? You know, allow your boats, all of it, to get into Gaza. How about they allow you to get into Gaza? In fact, they should allow you to get into Gaza City. Into Gaza City, the last place where the final showdown is taking place. Be there, delivering aid. You know, so that you can really live out your dream of being a victim of genocide, you know, a victim of genocide, of war crimes, you know, so you will know where the war crimes and the genocide is coming from, you know. And it's not just Italy that has offered to help, okay? Even Israel claimed to have offered several options for unloading the aid, even inviting the ship to dock at the port of Ashkelon for a few kilometers north of Gaza, from where it will be transferred in a timely and coordinated manner to the Gaza Strip. And this was also rejected. So they have been offered to offload in Cyprus, they rejected. Offered to offload in Ashkelon, they rejected. Because they want to break the illegal siege. They want to break it and liberate Gaza. And if they are met with military force, then this is a war crime. And this is Israel's attempt at, you know, targeting civilians, innocent civilians. You know.
And systematically starved under an illegal siege, and where bombs and attacks are part of their everyday life. We call on governments everywhere to fulfill their legal obligation.
They fulfill. That's how you know that a child is talking. A child that does not know how the world works. A child that does not understand what is called the rule of law. A child that does not understand the legal process. A child that does not understand that there's something called the judiciary, whether state-wise, nationwide, or on the global stage. That you don't just accuse somebody of something and then be the one to execute it unilaterally, as on your own, just by yourself. You don't just say, oh yes, we decide, we've come to the decision that this is what is going on, and therefore we have to execute. This is the necessary action, and it must be done this way. You have decided on your own with your group of friends, jobless friends, by the way, that there is an illegal siege. You have decided on your own with your group of friends. You guys have come to that conclusion. There is an illegal siege. Why is there an illegal siege? Who has decided that? Did you bring it before legal experts? Have it been deliberated in a court of law? Have any international court or even local court come to the conclusion that this is an illegal siege? No, you are the judge. You that you have not even finished high school. You don't even understand how the world works, but you know what an illegal siege look like. And you are here to make sure that illegal siege is broken. You are the one who has decided, and you are the one who is like, yes, we are going to enforce this. As in the stupidity of that. You know.
And end their complicity in genocide. Ensure safe passage for more than 500 participants from 45 countries.
So Israel is supposed to ensure safe passage for... We are demanding that you ensure safe passage. Look, there's going to be unsafety in your passage, and you'll be lucky. Greta and friends, you guys will be very lucky if that unsafety comes from the IDF. You are in luck if the insecurity you face on your trip comes from. That's good luck. Just know that God loves you. If the insecurity you encounter comes from the IDF, because you don't want it to come from Hamas. You don't want it to come from Hamas.
We call on people all over the world to raise their voices for Palestine, for Gaza.
Because we have better things to raise our voices for. Because There are a lot of things happening in Nigeria. I have better things to raise my voices for than for some people who voted a terrorist organization voted them into power and committed a very atrocious act on October 7 and even celebrated while it was going on. Most of them we are celebrating. I have better things to do with my time than to call for, or even lend my voice to whatever cause that they have. I have better things to do with my time. But of course, Greta does not, unfortunately. Unfortunately, she does not. I mean, here's the starving Gaza. Here's the starving Gaza. She wants to go and liberate and give food.
A lot of people are very curious about the coffee shop lava, if it's real, if it's in Gaza or not. And I want to show you, it's real.
That's a restaurant in Gaza. That's a restaurant in Gaza that people have been questioning, have been asking questions about. Is this place real? This restaurant is becoming famous. Okay, this is becoming famous in Gaza, and this influencer.
And they were curious about the coffee shop lava, if it's real, if it's in Gaza or not. And I want to show you, it's real. And there was places before the war that looked a lot better than this.
Before the war, there are places in Gaza that are way better than this restaurant. There are places in Gaza that were way better than this restaurant. Now, this restaurant, for so many people who have watched it, and I think I made a video talking about what they serve in the restaurant and how, fancy it is looking, and the dishes that are being, served in this restaurant will make you question, is this really a genocide? Is this really the Holocaust? Is this really the open air prison that we've been hearing about? Is this really the effect of starvation that we are hearing about in Gaza? And this lady, this influencer, imagine a war. Oh my goodness. Sometimes this is really like we'll say in Nigeria, this kind of thing, they bust my brain. This is really scattering my head. Imagine a war where there is famine, where there is genocide, where these are the allegations: famine, genocide, Holocaust, whatever it is they want to describe. And you have inside that territory influencers, not journalists. I mean, there are journalists, so to speak. But you have influencers that make daily videos that do get ready with me as I go to this restaurant and try out this new delicacy. Get ready with me as I make my hair while living in this concentration camp. Imagine that. This is war in 2025. This is genocide 2025 edition, social media version. And she's saying that, there are more expensive places and more luxurious places that exist in this open air prison called Gaza before the war.
Honestly, one of the reasons that I got so stuck in Gaza was because a lot of people were asking me, there's nothing really too complex about the place if you really think about it in comparison. There was places in Gaza that honestly you would say if this was in a European country, not only would it be 5-star, but to even get a reservation would be nearly impossible. There's a lot of...
There are places in Gaza before the war that by European standards would be 5-star. And for you to be able to eat in these places, you need to make a reservation. This is the sad condition of Gaza that led them to break forth, to break the fence and liberate themselves from the open air prison that Israel has kept them in. This is the suffering. This is the suffering of the people of Gaza, ladies and gentlemen. This is that unfair suffering.
Amazing interior designers in Gaza, a lot of amazing architects. Gaza was literally something beautiful, and I'm pretty sure you see some before. Honestly, if you break it down, okay, what's so complex about that? That's in country made and just painted black. The sky is some metal, how they make the tents. It's how they make the tents and just put something, a shutter on top. The wall, basic painting, that is there's nothing that's too complex about the place, but just in general, people are assuming, that there is no nice places in Gaza or that it's like a cheap place. No, people in Gaza are very متكتكين. يعني they're very, I think they care about appearance and nice places and these things.
Useful idiots of America, are you hearing what somebody in Gaza, an influencer in Gaza, is saying? Let me play that place. Let me play that last part back.
Gaza are very متكتكين. يعني they're very, in general, like people are like assuming that there is no nice places in Gaza or that it's like
people are assuming that there are no nice places in Gaza or that it is like a cheap place. And she said, no.
A cheap place? No. People in Gaza are very متكتكين. يعني they're very, I think they care about appearance and nice places and these things.
That is the open air prison. And that is what, Greta is going to go and liberate. She and her band of jobless people. Meanwhile, speaking of that flotilla, here's another interesting news story about the flotilla. And yes, this headline says not all in the same boat. Gaza flotilla leadership turns on itself over woke agenda. Internal conflicts have hit the board of directors of the Global Smooth Flotilla, GSF, a multinational convoy of several dozen vessels aiming to breach Israel's naval blockade of Gaza. Okay, the goal is no longer to deliver aid, is to breach Israel's naval blockade of Gaza. Alleged wokeness, political activism, and in particular LGBTQ activism has led to serious discontent. This French magazine, an online outlet, covers social and affairs, and they reported on September 16 that local GSF coordinators, Khalid, announced his resignation in protest at the presence of LGBTQ activists in the flotilla, including Saif Ayadi, who identifies as a queer activist. We were lied to about the identity of some participants in the vanguard of the flotilla. I accused the organizers of having hidden these aspects from us. He complained in 2 videos streamed on social media. Other figures, including activist Mariam, and presenter, condemned what they saw as an attempt to impose a cultural progressive agenda unrelated to the Palestinian cause, describing it as a red line crossed and an attack on societal values. Yes, this is very interesting. On September 15, on Facebook, this person wrote that being gay was a private matter, no one else's business, and that no one should be discriminated or targeted for it. But she addressed that such activism is viewed as incompetent with Islamic beliefs and warned against using the sacred cause of Al-Aqsa to advance unrelated agendas. She said the mosque, that's the mosque in the West Bank, serve as a symbol of the entire Palestinian cause. Wow. How people are paying attention. This is not a religious thing. This is about oppression. But the mosque serve as the symbol of the entire Palestinian cause. What is that Palestinian cause? To wipe out Jews. Why is it a religious thing to wipe out Jews? But these people will not ask the right questions because God forbid that somebody tells them the truth. These people hate the truth so much. They will not ask those questions. They will not ask these questions and be like, why is this about religion? Why is this suddenly the Palestinian cause is about Islam? All of a sudden it's about Islam. It's about the mosque. These people will not ask the question. They just say, oh, they're just some people from North Africa who are just backward in their thinking or who have a fundamentalist interpretation of Islam, I guess. That's what they'll be telling themselves, This person accused the GSF organizers of betraying the trust of supporters who contributed resources to the flotilla's mission. He called on others to correct what was described as a serious mistake against the Palestinian cause. Also on Facebook on the same day, this person wrote, Palestine is first and foremost the cause of Muslims, and it cannot be separated from its spiritual and religious dimension, with Jerusalem at the heart of its symbols and destiny. Interesting statement. I hope somebody in that flotilla, anyway, it's not even going to happen. These people are first of all dumb and stupid before jobless and annoying and ridiculous and aiming to just waste time and be a nuisance. That's what they are, first of all, before sensible. None of them are on that boat thinking, oh, we are doing something rational. You know, it is a congregation of stupid people. So there's the likelihood of one of them asking the right question is next to zero. Okay. Anyways, let's continue reading. So why involve this Palestinian cause that is spiritual and religious? So why involve it in dubious activists serving other agendas that do not concern us and have nothing to do with Gaza, such as homosexuality, queers for Gaza, queers for Palestine? I hope you guys are paying attention. Of course, you guys are not, but I hope you are. I wish for your sake that you open your ears and listen. Why do we hear the voices of these discredited and rejected figures in a flotilla meant to represent our societies and their solidarity with Gaza? That is how they describe queers for Palestine. This is the word they used to describe them. Discredited and rejected figures in a flotilla meant to represent our societies and their solidarity with Gaza. Why divide people over the very cause that unites them? Why all these financial, moral, and ideological and security suspicions surrounding a flotilla that is supposed to embody Arab sentiment? You thought it is humanitarian sentiment. You thought it is the sentiment of well-reasonable people. You thought it is the sentiment of the world. But they're letting you know that it is an Arab Muslim sentiment. The sentiment of a religion that views you as the worst of peoples. The sentiment of a religion that is calling for you to be subjugated and fought against. I mean, how else do you define a useful idiot? How else? What do you expect an Arab Muslim to think when he hears the slogan of this square movement within a flotilla launched in the name of his most sacred and central cause, only to see it degraded in this way? Wow, powerful statement. Disagreements within the leadership reportedly also led to the renowned activist Greta Thunberg leaving the organization's leadership. She will remain on board as an organizer and a participant volunteer. Her profile was swiftly removed from the list of onboarding members on the mission's website, and she left the family boat used by the members of the humanitarian directive and joined the Alma boat with her bags used by activists. According to left-wing outlets, Thunberg believes that the leadership was communicating too much on internal affairs and did not focus enough on the genocide in Palestine. Of course, these people are telling you that this is not about genocide in Palestine. Are you not listening to them? This is not about for them, for the people you picked from Tunisia. This is not about genocide in Palestine. This is about Islam. This is about a religious cause. This is about an Arab sentiment. The Arab sentiment, by the way, Greta and co. The Arab sentiment is anti-Semitic. Very anti-Semitic, very anti-Jewish. The worst kind of anti-Semitism you can ever imagine. That is the Arab sentiment. But of course, you know, while all of this is happening, to show you how, you know, I mean, yeah, they are.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Yeah, the useful idiot.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free
Shouting into the ocean.
I'm not.
Yes, Greta giving a powerful speech.
I'm not scared of Israel. I'm scared of a world that has seemingly lost all sense of humanity.
My dear, you don't know what to be scared of. Well, I wish they will allow you into Gaza. You'll see what to be afraid of. I wish they will allow you into Gaza City. You'll see what it is that you should be afraid of. You know, but of course.
And what we are doing here is trying to show that there is still some humanity left, that there are still people willing to step up.
My dear, you are not giving us hope for humanity. I mean, Anyway, it is part of humanity to be stupid. In fact, I'm tired of listening to this lady. You know what? Let's listen to someone else. Let's listen to someone.
Nearly 2 years.
Someone who wants to, who will want to meet Greta and really appreciate her for being very stupid. But before we do that, let's take this super chat from Happy Guy. He said, "Thank you for calling out these liars and jihadis. The money coming from Qatar, Iran, and Turkey. My pleasure. My pleasure, 100%. My pleasure. I know I've been rambling for forever at this point, but I want to remind everyone, please smash that like button if you are yet to smash it. Destroy it, demolish it. We have not even gotten to the main reason why we are doing this live stream. We've not even gotten to that yet. Okay? We are still talking about other issues, and this is already 1 hour 36 minutes. We're just talking about that. These are other preliminary issues before we get to the speech that Benjamin gave in the United Nations General Assembly. This is just other things we are discussing. So please smash the like button. Smash the like button. Ring the notification bell and subscribe and ring the notification bell. Also, the reactions on the live chat, like the one I'm just spamming right now, please hit that love, let it keep flowing, okay? And what else? Subscribe. If I've not said subscribe, smash the like button and keep commenting in the live chat. Let me know that I'm still here with people. I can see that we have Jax in the building. Jax is in the building, my sister in Christ. Jax, how are you? How is South Africa? Yes, Greta is she's fully behind every leftist cause. She's 100% behind every single leftist cause. You understand? She's a leftist to the bone. So yeah, let us look at the person that the person that started the war in Gaza, and the person who embodies the mindset, the mentality of the Arab sentiment, that we just read about, of the spiritual and the religious dimension of the Palestinian cause. Let's listen to this person. The person that Greta is more than happy. Okay, the person that Greta is more than happy to aid, even though they will claim that that's not what they are doing. Some of themselves will be bold to say that, resistance is justified when people are occupied. But let's listen to one of those people.
Nearly 2 years after Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th, Gaza has paid a massive price. The devastation rivaled only by the suffering of its people. Israel has killed more than 65,000 Palestinians, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry.
The way this is being stated as fact, and then somehow they believe that by saying that this is from the Palestinian Health Ministry, somehow it's like, Israel has killed over 65,000, according to the, of course, it will never happen, but I wish the mainstream media would stop saying it, would stop saying that, because for many people, that is the reality. For many people, that's what is actually happening. And that is not really the case.
Hundreds of thousands are displaced and homeless, and Israeli attacks are only intensifying. Do you accept any responsibility for triggering so much death and destruction?
I want you all to know that this is one of the leaders of Hamas living in Qatar. These are one of the survivors. The strike that Israel carried out in Doha, they miraculously survived. And this is one of the miraculous survivors. And here he is giving an interview, still in Qatar, by the way. Here he is giving an interview to CNN. And let us hear the question again and then listen to his answer.
For triggering so much death and destruction.
The history did not begin on October 7. We spent 78 years under the occupation, under the humiliation, under oppression, under repression, under killing, under
shut up your mouth. Under shut up your mouth. That's your big whatever it is they call this thing, Zabiba or whatever. Just shut up your stupid mouth. Just shut up. Shut up. Shut up. The same Gaza that influencer was streaming from. The same Gaza with 5-star hotels and restaurants. The same Gaza with swimming pools and all whatnot. You had so much money that you built a tunnel system larger than the subway in New York. You are oppressed, under oppression, under repression, under inertia. Please keep quiet. Everybody is sending you aid. You people are the most unemployed population in the world, yet the amount of aid you receive. And what do people use it to do? To build bombs, to build rockets. I've never seen in my life. It's just the sad thing about the world today is that sycophants are being glorified. It's not just a Gaza issue. It's a global issue. The celebration of sycophants. People who contribute absolutely nothing to society than to be a burden, to become forever recipients of aid. Useless, completely useless. If the 2 million, I'm not saying that this is not me, so somebody will not take what I'm saying out of context. This is not me. This is not me advocating for genocide. But if the 2 million Gazans disappear today in the world will be a much better place. Because people have contributed absolutely nothing to society than terrorism and advocating for terrorism. And under repression, under suppression, under compression, under dimension, under concussion, under vocation, under nation. Nonsense. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. That is your justification for going into Israel and killing 1,200 people. What happened? What was your reason? All that money to make your society better, to make something out of yourself. No. We need to. Some people there's some things people even in the West say that I'm like, if Ahmadiyya, sometimes you just sit down, you're like, if Ahmadiyya is real, he should strike the center of your head. Like the very center of your head. You should just strike it. For those who don't know what Ahmadiyya is like the god of thunder in Igbo mythology. If Ahmadiyya is real, you should smite just the center of that your Zabiba. You should just strike it and make it darker. Because something is fundamentally wrong with you. And with all the idiots in the West who say stupid things like, how are you supposed to feel? If it was you, how are you supposed to feel? If you are in Gaza, living under such conditions, how are you supposed to feel? Do you know that the Gazans, so many of these Gazans have a better living conditions, like they live better living condition rather, than many people in African countries, in West African countries. Go to the slum in Makoko, Nigeria. Go to the slum in Makoko, Nigeria and see how people are living. Yet none of them have ever thought of buying a rocket and shooting it inside somewhere. Go to Makoko and see how people are living. Go to Ajegula in Lagos and see how people are living. Go to Niger Delta area, like this Niger Delta area, and see how people are living. Go to poor areas in Nigeria and see how people. You people in Gaza you people live a much better life. These people have not carried rockets and fired it into their neighbors' territory because they believe that they deserve better because they lost the war in 70 whatever years. There you are. And idiots in the West will hear this and will be like, it's true. He's making a good point. Imagine if I was in his shoe. So if you are in his shoe, you do this rubbish. If you are in his shoes, if you are in the shoes of the Gazans, you will do this nonsense. Oh, oh God. Sometimes, I'm not really more pissed at the fact that this moron with his Zabiba is saying this rubbish. That's not my problem. My problem is that you have some idiots in the West repeating the same nonsense. What do you expect them to do? I'm like, what do you mean? What do you expect them to do? I don't understand what you mean by what do you expect. I expect them. This is what I expect. See, I'm an Igbo person, and as an Igbo person, one thing we've learned in this world is to be resilient. That if this world gives you lemon, you make lemonades. You make the best out of whatever hand you've been dealt. That is how life is. You don't go about envious of the person next door, blaming every other person for your problem. Even when they are indeed, in one way or the other, contributing to your problem, it is well within your power. You have agency, and you can make the most of your life. Instead of spending all of it, engaging in acts of terror, claiming that it is justified because that place 2 miles away used to be your house. There are people in Nigeria, in eastern Nigeria, that their uncle stole land that is supposed to be theirs. Land that is supposed to be that belonged to your father. Your uncle took it, and now you cannot lay claim on it. He has built a big mansion on it, and you move on. You're not going to die. Your life is bigger than land. You move on. But you people have Gazans, you people have refused to move on. 70-something years. You are not ashamed of yourself. With your big Zabiba, you're on national TV, broadcasting your shamelessness and the shamelessness of your society. That for 70-something years, you have refused to move on. And the annoying thing is that there are idiots in the West who are like, yeah, he makes a very good point.
Displacement. Now, why your world just focus on October 7th?
Ghazi Hamad is a senior Hamas official, sitting for his first U.S. TV interview in months.
But before October 7th, Israel had never unleashed this level of death and destruction on Gaza before. How can you look at me with a straight face and tell me that you accept no responsibility whatsoever for what has happened in the 2 years since?
What is the option is left for the Palestinians to do?
Can you imagine the stupid question? What other option is left for? I have an answer. I have a very radical answer. How about not engage in terror? How about trying to make the most of your situation? How about trying to survive and thrive regardless? How about that? How about the fact that Israel left the entire Gaza for you people? It was not occupied. It was not nothing. Gaza was not like the West Bank. It was not nothing. This was your opportunity to make something out of yourself, and you chose to engage in acts of terror. And you are like, what else are we supposed to do? How about thrive? How about try to move on? How about try to make something of yourself? How about try to become an unexpected success story in the Middle East? How about that? Have you people considered that? Has this idea ever penetrated your Zabiba reading forehead?
First time that Palestinians have shown sacrifice in this Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
What gives you?
Can you imagine? It's a sacrifice. This idiot reminds me of that statement where they say, some of you may lose your life in this war, in this cause, in my cause. Some of you may lose your life, but it is a sacrifice I am willing to make. That is how he said. Oh, so many Gazans are going to lose their lives, but it is a sacrifice I am willing to make from my palace in Doha.
The right to decide that Palestinian women and children should be sacrificed on the altar of your resistance.
No, all the time we are sacrificing, we are fighting.
But I am asking you.
We are all of us are sacrificing. We are died, and he's in Doha. He's in a mansion in Qatar. That's the sacrifice he's making. All of us are sacrificing. He's in Doha.
About the civilian deaths in Gaza, and what gives you the right to decide it's a price worth paying. That child can die. It's okay. Because it's in order to fulfill our resistance.
As Hamas, we are fighting for the interests of the people. We don't want our people to be killed.
Yeah, how you know in your society that Satan has cursed you people. That Satan is dealing with you. When Satan wants to deal with a society, he gives them leaders like this. When Satan wants to punish a society, he gives them leaders like this. That's how you know that you are living in hell. When this kind of person is your leader. This kind of person that talks like this, kind of person is your leader. You know that Satan is reigning in your land, in your area, is in your neighborhood, is your best friend, is your neighbor. Is the person that you used to borrow matches from. That's how you know. When this kind of person is you know you are living in hell. You know you are living in hell when these are the kind of leaders you have.
don't put the problem on the shoulder of Hamas. No, I think that
Hamas.
When I speak with Israeli officials, I press them about what they are doing in Gaza. When I'm speaking with Hamas officials, I press them for your responsibility.
But some Palestinians have had enough. Our message to Hamas is stop gambling with us, this man says. You are disconnected from reality, especially since the Hamas leadership is outside of Gaza.
I want to send a message to Hamas. We talk to people, talk by people. Stop the or we are die here.
But Hamad doesn't seem interested in hearing those voices.
I know. I have seen.
This is not it. There's more.
I have seen this video.
Sir,
yes.
There is
more.
more.
I know people are suffering. There are some people blame Hamas.
Why will you not listen to the voices of Palestinian people in Gaza?
Look. I know this is, but look, this is not the whole story.
These people who want Hamas to surrender, lay down its weapons, and leave the Gaza Strip.
I think no one asked Hamas to surrender. We will never surrender. These people under abnormal circumstances, we put him under target and killing and massacre.
The people that willfully, intentionally kill their own people, put them in harm's way. When Israel is like, these people should leave. They should leave this particular area. Hamas will block them and say, do not leave. Will prevent them from leaving. These are people that you are dealing with. People who even, when you confront them with this, they will lie about it and say it's not happening.
What do you expect for people to say?
Hamad is eager to tout what he calls the, quote, benefits of October 7th, in which Hamas killed nearly 1,200 people and kidnapped more than 250 others. He says it led to growing international support for the Palestinian cause.
What is the benefit of October 7th now? Now, win the award now.
Look at this kind of leader. 65,000 of your people are dead in a war that you know you cannot win. 65,000, allegedly. 65,000, allegedly, according to them. 65,000 so-called are dead. And he's like, hey, yeah, it's a good thing. I mean, now there is pressure on Israel. Now there's pressure on Israel. The world is condemning Israel. And so that the world can condemn Israel, you will slaughter 65,000 of your own people or allow them to be slaughtered. 65,000 of your own people. Think about the kind of ruthless leaders we are talking about. I mean, I know that Nigerian leaders are bad, but when I look at the leaders in Gaza, I'm like, nah, God, thank you that Hamad is not my leader. Because this person is worse. This one is demonic. This one is satanic. You look at the suffering of your own people and say, hey, well, it was good. At least now the world is condemning Israel.
If you look to the General Assembly yesterday, when about 194 people opened their eyes and looked to the atrocity, to brutality of Israel, and all of them, they condemned Israel. We waited for this moment for 77 years. I think this is a golden moment.
I'm very sure this reporter is like, I can't believe my eyes. I can't believe my ears. I can't believe this is the kind of person that, I can't believe that this is the kind of human beings. This kind of human being even exists. Yeah, this is it.
For the world to change the history, I think that now the world is a change. The history is a change now.
In your view, 65,000 deaths is worth it in order to achieve what you've achieved?
Look, I know the price is so high, but I'm asking again, what is the option? What is the option left to the Palestinians? You know what? We waited for a peaceful process, for a peaceful.
So he's not even listening. He's not even listening to what the reporter is saying. The reporter is not even asking him about the killing of Jews. He said the killing of Palestinians, the Gazans that have died, 65,000 of them. You're going to risk their life for what? International condemnation of Israel. You are going to sacrifice those people for that. And you think it is worth it. And he's like, hey, what other option do I have? What other option other than sacrificing my people? I mean, I have to sacrifice them. What other option? What else do the Palestinians live for other than to be slaughtered by us and to be sacrificed on the altar of the Palestinian cause?
Means since 1993, since Oslo Agreement, till now.
The prospects for peace seem...
Anyway, let's not continue listening to this person. Moving on, please. Moving on from from that. Now, before we move on, first of all, I want to, commend everyone that is still with us live, and I want to encourage them. Please smash, every one of us, please smash the like button, do all the YouTube stuff, and remember to support the channel. Send in your super chats, your, everything. Send all of that, and also remember to go to NIG Perspective. buymeacoffee.com/NIG Perspective. Remember to go over there to show your support by buying me a coffee. Okay, when you do that, I give you my love 100%. I do not withhold it anymore from you. And that is your opportunity to put your money where my mouth is. You understand? I'm like Hamad. It is a sacrifice that I am willing to. Emptying your purse is a sacrifice I am willing to make. Emptying your wallet is a sacrifice I am willing to make. Okay? As the despot of this channel. Please send me your money. Send in your tribute and do it quickly. That's the link. buymeacoffee.com/NIG Perspective. Go there and empty your wallet, and God will richly bless you. Before we move on, can you see, even though CNN is, repugnant, one of the super chats I highlighted should just, we can all say CNN what was the word I used before? I used repugnant, but I think that's too much. Even though we can say CNN is not the best, CNN is biased, CNN is not reliable, we can accuse CNN of everything we want to accuse CNN of, and they are justified accusation. Even I will make that accusation, levy such accusation against CNN in the future, and I'll be justified in doing so. But you can see that their interview of Hamad is not the same as Tucker Carlson's interview of the president of Iran. You can see that. That is what it means to imagine if this interview was being conducted by Tucker Carlson. How do you think it would have gone? The same Tucker Carlson, remember Tucker Carlson said, maybe some people may have forgotten, Tucker Carlson said that Hamas is not a terrorist organization, it's more or less a political organization. It's not a religious organization, it's more or less a political organization. That's how he described Hamas. And remember his guest, the mustache nun, that said, what was it that she said? That Hamas is not a terrorist organization. No, none of that. Yeah, nothing like that. Nothing like that is what she said. That is just a resistance organization. Those people fighting for their people, trying to liberate their people. Trying to get back their land. Remember when the nun said that, and Tucker was there nodding like a wagego, nodding like a lizard. So you can see the contrast. Even though CNN is bad, but they are not that bad. Anyways, moving on. Now we are going to look at some things Trump has been saying during the week. Trump has been on fire. Trumpilo. Let's start with this one.
Did you promise leaders this week that you would not allow Israel to annex the West Bank? And is that something that you
I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen.
Did you speak with Netanyahu about this directly?
Yeah, but I'm not going to allow it. Whether I spoke to him or not, I did. But I'm not allowing Israel to annex the West Bank. There's been enough. It's time to stop now, okay?
Now, keep in mind that this is the guy that Tucker has said. This is the guy that Tucker has said is being controlled by Netanyahu. This is the person who Candace Owens have accused of snotting lines of Israel, being controlled by Israel inside the pocket of Netanyahu. This is the guy that Israel is controlling. This is an example. This is that example. When you hear about Israel is controlling America, this is that example. Ladies and gentlemen, this is that example. Here is Trump talking about just listen to Trump. This I saw this clip and I thought it was very fun.
Unfairly, as it turns out, rigged election. He knows about rigged elections better than anybody. Unfairly, as it turns out, rigged election. He knows about rigged elections better than anybody. But when I was in
Trump. He said rigged elections, and then not tilt his head towards Edward and be like, he knows a lot. He knows about rigged election. I mean, come on, man. Tell us how you Trump. Who? I mean, he was on fire this week. He was really on fire. Really on fire. Here's this one that really got people very, very angry.
Well, I think President Erdogan is the one responsible for Syria, for the successful fight in ridding Syria of its past leader. And I think this man is responsible. He doesn't take the responsibility, but it's actually a great achievement. They've been trying to do it for 2,000 years. I said, he does it. He did it. I mean, they're your surrogates. I think you should take the credit for it. I told him, take the credit. For 2,000 years, you've been trying to take over Syria. He took over Syria, and he doesn't want to take the credit. You know, all of those people are his surrogates.
And he's saying all of this right in front of Edward, like right in front of the president of Turkey. He's just saying, and people are like, what does he mean by 2,000 years? I'm like, I don't even know where Trump got that figure from, and I don't even care. But the whole thing is just funny. The way he say, you know, those people are your surrogates. You know, you are in charge of. You know, you are in charge of Syria. You know, you are rightfully in charge of Syria. Those people are your surrogates. I'm like, Trump, tell us what you really think. Here's another one. I like this one. This one is yeah, let's do this one.
Yeah, please.
Jasmine Crockett recently.
Jasmine Crockett. Remember what I said? Is she a relation to the late, great Davy Crockett? I don't think so. Jasmine Crockett, let me tell you, before you even ask, she's a very low IQ person.
True.
I mean, if we ever had to pass an aptitude test, that's the one should take one because she shouldn't even be in the class. So I have no idea what you're going to, but I don't think we should waste our time. This is a low IQ person who I can't even believe is a congressperson. Between her and Ilhan Omar and the group. You know, I met the head of Somalia. Did you know that? And I suggested that maybe he'd like to take her back, and he didn't want her. He said, I don't want her. Okay, what else?
Oh, Trump. Trump. It's like Trump. Yes, it is. It is owning. It is owning. Oh God. He's really owning Turkey. It's like, he said, let me remember the first thing he said. He was like, rigged elections. You know, he knows a lot about rigged elections. Imagine the president of Nigeria in the White House, and then Trump is like, rigged elections. He knows a lot about rigged election. Nigeria will be on fire. Nigerians will laugh because that's on fire in the wrong way. Like, Nigerians will not be angry. They will be laughing. It will trend. It will be trending in Nigeria for months. This is like Trump will be more loved by Nigerians than any other president that has ever ruled, that ever led the United States. Like, if he said that to the current president of Nigeria, to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I'm telling you, Nigerians will be like, woo! And then what he said about Ilhan Omar, where he said that he spoke with the president of Somalia, and he asked him, do you want to take do you want to take her? And he was like, no, we don't want to take her. And as for Jasmine Crockett, that woman is dumb. Like, it's not even an insult at this point. Like, calling Jasmine Crockett a very dumb person is an insult to dumb people. Like, I know dumb people. I know people with room temperature IQ that are smarter than Jasmine Crockett. I mean, just to refresh our memory about who this person is, who this lady, Jasmine Crockett, who she is, and what she has said. You know, here are instances of Jasmine Crockett just being exceptionally stupid. Yeah, I present to you, ladies and gentlemen, Exhibit A.
I want to be clear that, like, law enforcement isn't to prevent crime. Law enforcement solves crime, okay? That is what they are supposed to do. They are supposed to solve crimes, not necessarily prevent them from happening.
Yeah, look at that. That's Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Law enforcement do not prevent crime. They solve crime. My goodness. Flesh and blood did not reveal this one to her. It's demons and jinn that revealed this one to her. Here's another one. Here's another nugget of exception.
Understand
from Jasmine Crockett.
I was having the conversations with people that were going out and committing crimes. And so I understood what was kind of pushing them there. And so I do want people to know that just because someone has committed a crime, it doesn't make them a criminal. That is completely different.
I don't know who to be annoyed with. Who should I find more annoying? Jasmine Crockett, who is saying something very stupid, or the guy who is like, speak, sister. Just because you commit a crime doesn't make you a criminal. The two of you are stupid. Both the person is talking and the person is doing, two of you. It's a collective. As in, you listen to this kind of thing and you are like, you feel very, very stupid afterwards. That's not all. Like, this lady have like great hits. Okay, I'm yet to scratch the surface.
The violence doesn't come from.
Here's another famous. This is another example. This is Exhibit C.
The violence doesn't come from Democrats, just to be clear. I mean, obviously anyone can be a criminal, but it is MAGA. It's specifically MAGA faction. Like, I don't think traditional Republicans are getting.
Let's talk about the Summer of Love. Let's talk about the George Floyd protest, the mostly peaceful protest. Let's talk about every other ICE protest that has happened in the United States. Let's talk about people that are targeting ICE facilities. Let's talk about the person who tried to assassinate Donald Trump. Let's talk about the person who assassinated Charlie Kirk. Let's talk about the people who were burning Teslas. Remember that? Those are all MAGA Republicans. MAGA. Democrats are not violent. In fact, according to her, the person who tried to assassinate Donald Trump is not actually a Democrat. The person is a Republican.
Engaged in all of this, but like, even when we look at, and they don't talk about the assassination attempts anymore that took place with Donald Trump, but these were Trump supporters, right? As well as this most recent situation, they tried to flip it and say, oh, the leftists are, I'm like, this doesn't even make sense, right? But it's only like...
There's nothing more ironic than hearing a stupid person say, it doesn't even make sense.
MAGA that does this.
And here's another one. Here's another. This one is my favorite. This one is by far my favorite, from Jasmine Crockett.
Tonight, Harford County Sheriff Jeffrey Gaylor isn't holding back in responding to recent comments made by Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, a Democrat from Texas, calling Kayla Hamilton a, quote, random dead person.
The 20-year-old from Aberdeen was killed in 2022 at the hands of an MS-13 gang member in the U.S. illegally.
Fox 45's Jessica Babb joins us in studio as Gaylor calls that statement reprehensible. Jessica?
Sheriff Gaylor says regardless of politics, it's inappropriate to dismiss Kayla Hamilton's death. Responding with some...
I don't understand what is happening. An MI16 or whatever they call that gang from South America. One of their gang members killed a lady, not Jessica Babb, but killed a lady who is 21 years, killed her, and this became like major news story. And then in reacting to it, Jasmine Crockett described the lady as a random dead person. That's the word she used, a random dead person.
Harsh words of his own. In the midst of fiery debate in Congress about the Kayla Hamilton Act.
Stop playing these games and acting like you care about one particular situation.
A Democrat representing Texas, U.S. Representative Jasmine Crockett's words further ignited the flames.
You take a situation and then you exploit what has happened to not only that person, but you exploit those families and you make it a game. Stop just throwing a random dead person's name on something.
A random dead person's name. That's how she described somebody. Oh, God.
For your own political expediency.
I was really furious.
Kayla Hamilton.
That's one of the nuggets of wisdom to come out of Jasmine Crockett's mouth. Whenever she speaks, she puts stupidity to shame. She's like, there's something worse than stupidity. And she's like, I'm going to expose it whenever I speak. That's her modus operandi. And that's what Trump was saying over the weekend. And here's my favorite statement from Donald Trump during the week. I think this is my most favorite statement from Donald Trump during the week. I think this one is my most favorite.
For France to say that they would recognize the Palestinian state. Macron said that yesterday.
Look, he's a different kind of a guy. He's okay. He's a team player, pretty much. But here's the good news: what he says doesn't matter.
He's talking about the president of France. That's Emmanuel Macron, and his decision to recognize the state of Palestine, the non-existent state of Palestine. And Trump is like, whatever he does doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So he shrugged it off, like whatever he's doing doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And I'm like, yeah, true. The only negative impact is that I kind of make Hamas feel like they're doing something, like they're achieving something, when at the end of the day they are basically achieving nothing. A state does not exist simply because you recognize it. Anyway. The people that they are trying to, the people that the president of France and the prime minister of the UK and all these leaders, people they are trying to appease and appeal to are just as stupid as the decision that they just made. For them to think that this has any impact or any meaning whatsoever, it just goes to show you that the people who this appeals to are just as stupid as what is appealing to them. Because anybody who thinks all of a sudden Palestine now exists, really, I can go ahead and recognize the existence of tooth fairies and unicorns. Doesn't mean that it exists. Can go ahead and recognize the state of Narnia. Doesn't exist. Still doesn't exist. And is inconsequential. The only thing you have done is to enable the delusion of the Palestinian cause and make these deluded people think that they are up to something when they are not. And all their cause is all for nothing. 70-something years wasted. Life, blood, wasted. And that brings us to the main event, ladies and gentlemen. The reason we are all here. I'm going to play this at 1.5 speed. This is not Ben Shapiro speaking, so it will not really affect us hearing what he has to say. This is the main event. This is the reason why you are here. This is the reason why you joined the live stream, for us to react to Bibi's speech at the UN General Assembly. The first thing you need to notice about this is, let's start from the beginning so you can.
I request protocol to escort His Excellency and invite him to address the Assembly.
Yes, they are inviting the Prime Minister of Israel. You can see him walking on stage. And as he's walking on stage, you can see people leaving. And people walking out. Look at this lady with her hijab going, finally realizing that her place is in the kitchen.
Please,
Walking
order in the hall.
going to please her husband.
Please, order in the hall.
Finally, walking away. Forward. Homeless people.
Please, order in the hall.
Look at them. Look at the ladies. Look at this one here. Look at them. Finally realizing where they belong to, in the kitchen. Look at
Please, order in the hall.
Look at that. Look at the work people that are supposed to build a coalition for world peace. They don't have the decency to sit down and listen to somebody they don't agree. They don't have that decency. This is how you know that the UN is still an organization that is
please order in the hall and please be seated.
And it's still relevant. You know. I'm sure Palestine will appreciate the workout.
Please order in the hall.
I'm sure Palestine, people in Gaza are watching this and are like, yeah, this is going to stop the next building that the IDF is about to blow down. It's going to stop it from blowing down. This workout is powerful, very significant. When this is all over, we will never forget those who walked out. My goodness. Guys, give me a second. I'll be back. I needed to get something quickly. Sorry for that little break. Anyways, where was I? All right. Watching these cowards walk out. By the way, before we continue, no, nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. I just went to get something. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. I just went to get something. Do I sound a big choppy? Sorry, I hope it's not annoying. Yes. Hey y'all to you too, Tiffany. How are you? Anyways, where was I? Yeah, watching these cowards walk away.
Mr. President, the families.
What did I appreciate about BB's? Despite all these people walking out, he still continues with his speech like they didn't do anything. I like that. As I watched this speech, and I was like, this is what we call a leader. This is what you call a strong leader. This is what Keir Starmer, Emmanuel Macron, all the Western leaders should pay attention to. This is what it means to be a strong leader. But of course, for you to be this kind of leader, you need to have people who are sensible. You have to be ruling a sensible group of people. So you cannot really blame these Western leaders for being weak and ineffective. They are being elected. People who elect them into office are weak-minded, stupid, brainwashed, propagandized. People who don't know anything about the real world. People who just graduated from the university with woke ideology inculcated into their brains. People who have never thought about anything, who have never really felt what it's like to really be, to really live, and people who have not even experienced hardship. There are people that just get to vote and be like, oh yeah, we are voting for Keir Starmer. We want more migrants. So criticizing Islam is Islamophobia. This kind of nonsense mentality is what is prevalent in the kind of people who vote the likes of Keir Starmer and Emmanuel Macron. So that's the problem with the West. It's stupid people voting stupid leaders. There's one thing my dad always say: you are a country will always look like the people they vote into, they elect into, political positions. They will always the people you elect will reflect you.
Of our dear hostages languishing in the dungeons of Gaza. Ladies and gentlemen, last year, I stood at this podium and I showed this map. It shows the curse of Iran.
You're going to hear that shout over and over. Like there's somebody there who is, I don't know, who is having an episode of just outburst, just random episode of outburst. And it's funny how Bibi is not even distracted by it. He just keeps going.
Iran's terror axis. This axis threatened the peace of the entire world. It threatened the stability of our region and the very existence of my country, Israel. Iran was rapidly developing a massive nuclear weapons program and a massive ballistic missile program. These were meant not only to destroy Israel, they were meant also to threaten the United States and blackmail nations everywhere. From Gaza, Yahya Sinwar dispatched waves of Hamas terrorists.
I mean, imagine what will happen if a nation like Iran get their hands on a nuclear weapon. Imagine radical Islam with a nuclear weapon. Just imagine that. Radical Islam with a nuclear weapon. That is a recipe for disaster. Imagine the level of influence and control they will have on the rest of the world. And imagine what they would do with it. I mean, thank God for Israel. Thank God for Israel.
They stormed into Israel on October 7th and committed acts of unspeakable savagery. From Lebanon, Hassan Nasrallah had launched thousands of missiles and rockets at our cities, terrorizing our citizens. In Syria, the murderous dictator Assad hosted Iran's forces, tightening a noose of death around our throats. In Yemen, the Houthis launched ballistic missiles at Israel while choking global trade at the mouth of the Red Sea. So what's happened over the past year?
I mean, just imagine a nation which is surrounded by this amount of enemies. I mean, you're talking Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Iran, Yemen, the Houthis in Yemen. So many fronts. That is, imagine. And instead of doing the Gaza thing of blaming everyone else for your problem, you see what Israel does? They fight. This is the character of survivors, people who are born to survive. You understand? Not people who go around blaming everyone else for their problem. People who stand up and face their problems head on. A nation surrounded by enemies and still going, still moving. Surrounded by people that don't want them to exist, and yet they are there, thriving.
We've hammered the Houthis, including yesterday. We crushed the bulk of Hamas's terror machine. We crippled Hezbollah, taking out most of its leaders and much of its weapons arsenal. You remember those beepers, the pagers? We paged Hezbollah. And believe me, they got the message.
They blew up their genitals. They gave them gender reassignment surgery. Every Hezbollah operative in Lebanon received free gender reassignment surgery.
And thousands of terrorists dropped to the ground. We destroyed Assad's armaments in Syria. We deterred Iran's Shiite militias in Iraq. And most importantly, and above anything else that I could say to you or that we did in this past year, in this past decade, we devastated Iran's atomic weapons and ballistic missiles programs. So here's where things stand today. Half the Houthi leadership in Yemen, gone. Yahya Sinwar in Gaza, gone. Hassan Nasrallah in Lebanon, gone. The Assad regime in Syria, gone.
Wow.
Those militias in Iraq, well, they're still deterred. And their leaders, if they attack Israel, will also be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And for Iran's top military commanders and its top atomic bomb scientists, well, they're gone too.
And that's what you call a strong leader. He went there and he was not apologetic. He was not there talking like Keir Starmer, talking like somebody who they're trying to snatch words out of his mouth. So talking like somebody that there's water inside his mouth. You know how Keir Starmer talks? Like somebody who is confused, lost, who just woke up and realized he's prime minister. Talking boldly, unapologetically.
Israel's 12-day war with Iran, which I renamed Operation Rising Lion, that's from the Bible. This 12-day war will go down in the annals of military history. Our daring pilots...
It will go down in the annals of history. This just reminds me of those David Wood Al Zut joke. Reminds me of Muhammad's annals in the Arabian desert on that godly night or that ungodly night.
Neutralized Iran's missile defenses and took control of the skies over Tehran. And you saw this. Israeli fighter pilots and American B-2 pilots bombed Iran's nuclear enrichment sites. I want to thank President Trump for his bold and decisive action.
Thank God for leaders like Donald Trump. Imagine if Kamala Harris was president. This would not be a kind of decision that she would make. It will not, of course, considering the fact that a huge part of her demographic are people who are like anti-Israel, who are ceasefire now, ceasefire now because we want it now, ceasefire now. Imagine that. Imagine if it was Kamala Harris. Thank God for Donald Trump. Thank God for Donald Trump.
President Trump and I promised to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons, and we delivered on that promise. We removed an existential threat to Israel, and a mortal threat to the civilized world. We lifted a dark cloud that could have claimed millions and millions of lives. But, ladies and gentlemen, we must remain vigilant. We must remain absolutely clear-minded and vigilant. We must not allow Iran to rebuild its military nuclear capacities. Iran's stockpiles of enriched uranium, these stockpiles must be eliminated. And tomorrow, UN Security Council sanctions on Iran must be snapped back. Thanks to the resolve of our people, the courage of our soldiers, and the bold decisions we took, Israel rebounded from its darkest day to deliver one of the most stunning military comebacks in history. But we're not done yet. The final remnants of Hamas are holed up in Gaza City. They vow to repeat the atrocities of October 7th again and again and again, no matter how diminished their forces. That is why Israel must finish the job. That is why we want to do so as fast as possible.
But if there's one criticism I have of Bibi Netanyahu, I don't know, maybe I'm not an expert in warfare, but sometimes I wish there's a way that this war could have been over in like a year. Of course, I could imagine that if they had gone fast, it would have led to more civilian casualties. But honestly, just like the leader of Gaza, the leader of Hamas in Doha, is a sacrifice worth making. You can hear him. It is a sacrifice worth making. They don't care about their own people. If I assure you, I believe strongly that if this war had lasted for just 1 year and 100,000 civilians died, 100,000 civilians confirmed dead, and this war just lasted for 1 year, I am very sure that the criticism Israel will be facing will not be to the degree they are facing now. I am very sure nations will not have gathered to recognize a Palestinian state. I am very sure that the decline in support for Israel that they experience now will not, the level of decline in international support that Israel is facing now will not be the case, because the world will have moved on to something else. They will have moved on to something else. Because one thing I've realized about news cycles is that once the situation is over, the way people move on is fast. People we are talking, was it not last week or when was it, where after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and every news story was talking about him. And people are like, this is a pivotal moment. This is a pivotal moment for the United States. And cynical me was like, oh, please, let something else happen. And everybody will forget that Charlie Kirk was even assassinated. Something else is going to dominate the media, dominate the news, and people will forget about it. Give them time. That would have been the case with what is happening in Gaza, what is happening in Gaza. It would have been old news. Nobody will be talking about it. But the fact that this has gone on for 2 years, how much do you care about people who don't care about themselves? It's a real serious question that I consider every time when I think about Gaza and the war in Gaza. I'm like, how much do you owe it to protect the lives of people who don't want to protect their own lives? If somebody wants to die Shahid, should you prevent that? Just thoughts that because honestly, think about it. Let's say even 200,000 civilians, women and children, let's say they were killed, 200,000, and this war ended in 1 year. Do you think people will be calling this a genocide? I feel the reason why this whole genocide, in fact, they've already started accusing Israel of genocide before one bomb was fired inside Gaza. They were already calling Gaza a concentration camp. They were already calling Israel Israel, the Israeli government occupiers, and calling them committing that this is an open air prison, is a Holocaust, what have you. Those accusations were already flying before even one rocket, before one soldier stepped foot into Gaza. It was all these accusations as if they were all prepared. So I feel the fact that this has taken this long has contributed to the pressure mounting. The longer, that's the thing about conflict in the world these days. It's not really how many people died. It's just how long it has, people will have gone back to focusing on Ukraine. Now, Russia is having the impunity to do whatever they are doing in Ukraine because nobody is looking at them. All eyes are on Gaza. Nobody is thinking about Ukraine anymore. Ukraine is now old news. So if there's a criticism I have for how this war has been prosecuted, is that it is taking so long. It's taking so long.
Ladies and gentlemen, much of the world no longer remembers October 7th, but we remember. Israel remembers October 7th. On that day, well, I'll tell you, you can remember October 7th too. You see this large pin here? It's a QR code. What I ask you to do is hold up your phone, zoom in, and you too will see why we fight and why we must win.
The truth is, the world knows, but they don't. But it's now in the past. You see, that's the thing. October 7 for the world is old news. Is the truth. Let's be, is the truth about how it is now. For the rest of the world, October 7, first of all, was not right on October 8, people were already celebrating, okay? People were already dancing and celebrating. Right on October 8, it was already a thing of people were celebrating October 8 more than they celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk. And it was 1,200 Jews, innocent Jews, killed. Some were attending a music festival, some were in their houses, executed. Many of them taken as hostages. Babies were taken as hostages. And on October 8, people were celebrating like it was the death of Charlie Kirk. So for so many people in the world, they never valued it. They never saw it as anything. And those who were shook that like this was something that really affected them, that they saw and they were like, they could not believe this level of atrocity. For so many of them, it's now old news. Like October 7 happened, but now they're like, oh, look at the children dying in Gaza. Oh, look at all the propaganda images coming out from people who have cerebral palsy. That is the new October 7 for so many people. That is how the world is now. October 7 is old news. It's like for the way the news cycle goes, it's like it happened in 1921 at this point.
It's all in here. On October 7th, Hamas carried out the worst attack on Jews since the Holocaust. They slaughtered 1,200 innocent people, including over 40 Americans and foreign nationals from dozens of countries represented here. They beheaded men. They raped women They burnt babies alive. They burnt babies alive in front of their parents. What monsters. And these monsters took more than 250 people hostage. And those included Holocaust survivors, grandmothers and their grandchildren. Who takes hostage grandmothers and grandchildren? Hamas does. So far, we've brought home 207 of these hostages, but 48 still remain in the dungeons of Gaza. 20 of them are alive, starved, tortured, deprived of any daylight, deprived of humanity. These are the names of the 20 living hostages. Matan Angrist, Gali and Zerv Berman, brothers, Elkanah Buchbot, Rom Braslavsky, Nimrod Cohen, Ariel and David Cunyo, another pair of brothers, Guy Gilboa Dalal, Eviatar David. You saw the picture of Eviatar David. Emaciated, forced to dig his own grave. Maxim Herkin, Eitan Hon, Segev Kalfon, Bar Kupperstein, Omri Meran, Eitan Moore, Yosef Chaim Ochana, Alon Ohel, Avinatam Or, and Matan Sengaker. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to do something I've never done before. I want to speak from this forum directly to those hostages through loudspeakers. I've surrounded Gaza with massive loudspeakers connected to this microphone in the hope that our dear hostages will hear my message. And I'll say it first in Hebrew and then in English. אחינו הגיבורים, מדבר ראש הממשלה בנימין נתניהו. אני פונה עליכם מעל בימת האו"ם. לא שכחנו אתכם, אפילו לא לשנייה. העם כולו איתכם, ואנחנו לא נשקוט ולא נרפה עד שנחזיר את כולכם הביתה. החיים והחללים כאחד. Our brave heroes. This is Prime Minister Netanyahu speaking to you live from the United Nations. We have not forgotten you, not even for a second. The people of Israel are with you. We will not falter and we will not rest until we bring all of you home. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks to special efforts by Israeli intelligence,
my thoughts, as I can only imagine what it's like for the hostages, the ones that are alive. I mean, how many years now? This is 2 years. I mean, you saw the image of that guy who was digging his own grave, and Hamas released it. And now, according to Hamas, these people are now being, they are planning to use these people as human shields. I mean, imagine what it's like being those people. This is Hamas. This is the resistance movement. This is the resistance movement that the likes of Greta and co are, championing. Who is this person? Muki Art. Please, do tell. How am I dumb?
Words are now also being carried. They're streamed live to the cell phones of Gazans. So to the remaining Hamas leaders and to the jailers of our hostages, I now say, lay down your arms. Let my people go. Free the hostages.
A long time
all of them. The whole 48. Free the hostages now.
We'll be waiting for that.
If you do, you will live. If you don't, Israel will hunt you down. Ladies and gentlemen, if Hamas agrees to our demands, the war could end right now. Gaza would be demilitarized, Israel would retain overriding security control, and a peaceful civilian authority would be established by Gazans and others committed to peace with Israel. And of course, you understand that the war in Gaza has affected every Israeli. But I'm sure there are people in New York or in London or in Melbourne and elsewhere who are probably thinking, what does all of this have to do with me? And the answer is everything.
Well, some of them don't even ask themselves that question. I mean, look at the ones that are on flotillas. Look at the. Oh my goodness! What is so frustrating about Muki Art is that he's a Nigerian. It's quite unfortunate. Every once in a while, I get this type. Am I supporting Benjamin Netanyahu? It depends on what you mean by support. Am I supporting everything he does? Do I know everything he does? Am I in support of how? Do I know every of his policy in Israel? Do I know what his government, everything they do with regards to how they govern Israel? Of course not. Of course not. But because I don't know it, not because I know it or I don't know it. It's what I know, what I support is the war they are prosecuting against Hamas. And do I support that? 100%. And Mukiat, if you are going to insult just one more, just I plead with you to give one more insult to somebody in the comments, and that will be the last. Just one more. I plead with you, just one more. One more is what I'm begging you to just give one more. I know you don't like this live stream. You understand? So I will help you. You understand? Unlike Israel, I used to fulfill people's wish. You know, Israel, somebody is like, I want to be a Shahid, and Israel will say, no, we want you to survive. Me? No. I'll kick you out of my... Oh, thank you. That's it. That's it, my guy. Finally. Where is it? I will not even wait for John to do it. I will do it myself. Where was I? All right. And there you go. Okay. Anyways, where was I?
Because our enemies are your enemies. So let's do something else. So first at the UN, let's do a pop quiz. And raise your hand if you know the answer. Here's the first question. Who shouts death to America? Is it A, Iran, B, Hamas, C, Hezbollah, D, the Houthis, or E, all of the above? All of the...
He's doing pop quiz at the UN. This is so funny. Aisha, I have the answer. The answer is all of the above. All of the above. All of the above.
Correct. All of the above.
Oh yeah, I didn't block him.
Who has murdered Americans and Europeans in cold blood? Is it A, Al-Qaeda, B, Hamas, C, Hezbollah, D, Iran, or E, all of the above?
All of the above.
Correct. Again. So here's the point I wanted to make. Our enemies hate all of us with equal venom. They want to drag the modern world back to the past, to a dark age of violence, fanaticism, and terror.
We need 24 hours to come.
I think many of you are already feeling in your own societies the radical Islamist surge. You know, I'm sure you do. You know deep down that Israel is fighting your fight. So I want to tell you a secret.
True.
Behind closed doors, many of the leaders who publicly condemn us privately thank us. They tell me how much they value Israel's superb intelligence.
Everybody knows that about like nations like Egypt, Saudi Arabia. They are thankful for what Israel is doing. Like, very thankful, especially Egypt. Very thankful.
Services that have prevented time and again terrorist attacks in their capitals, time and again saving countless lives. General George Keegan, former head of U.S. Air Force Intelligence, once said, if the United States had to gather on its own the intelligence that Israel gives us, we would have to establish 5 CIAs. 5 CIAs.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Yeah, tomorrow one idiot in the United States will be like, what does the United States benefit from Israel? They're going to hear one idiot. They'll say, ask the question. You know, that's one thing I like about these people. They ask questions that the answers have already been provided, and they pretend like the answer is not there. That's one thing. People who ask this kind of dumb question, that's one thing that they are notorious for. They ask these dumb questions, and then they're like, why can't anybody answer the question? People have answered it. You just pretend like they have not, and then repeat the question. Somehow the modus operandi of this anti-Israel voices, especially the ones on the right, especially the Tucker Carlsons and the Candace Owenses, those ones, they ask a question as if the question has not been answered and pretend like it has not been answered. Somehow for them, as long as they keep pretending like a question has not been answered and keep repeating the question, asking it over and over again, that is proof that the question has not been answered. You know. And then they target us. We are just asking questions.
This past June, when Israel struck Iran's nuclear facilities, German Chancellor Merz admitted the truth. He said, Israel is doing the dirty work for all of us.
That's the truth.
President Trump understands better than any other leader that Israel and America face a common threat. He showed the world that when Iran and its proxies murder Americans, take Americans hostage, shout death to America, burn American flags, and try to assassinate the President of the United States, not once, but twice. He showed them there is a price to pay for all that. But regrettably, many leaders who are represented in this hall, they send a very different message. Sure, in the days immediately following October 7th, many of them supported Israel. But that support quickly evaporated when Israel did what any self-respecting nation would do in the wake of such a savage attack.
Yeah, that's the modus operandi of many of these Western leaders. I think Bibi said it in the interview he did with trigonometry. The guys at trigonometry. He said, all these nations are like, Israel has the right to defend itself. Israel has the right to defend itself. They keep saying it. Israel has the right to defend itself. And then when Israel actually exercises that right, then they're like, no, not like that. Not like that. It's like Israel has the theoretical right to defend itself, but a right that should never be practiced, a right that should never be enforced, a right that should never be utilized. It's just a right that exists, abstract.
We fought back. Now just imagine, just sit back for a second and imagine an attack against America proportioned to the attack against Israel on October 7th. Imagine a regime, a terror regime, dispatching thousands of terrorists to invade the United States. They massacre 40,000 Americans. They take 10,000 Americans hostage. What do you think America would do? You think America would leave that regime standing? You don't think that. No way, not a chance. The United States would wipe out that terror regime and ensure that such savagery would never threaten America again. This is precisely what Israel is doing in Gaza. We're wiping out the terror regime of Hamas and ensuring that this savagery will never threaten Israel again. That's what we are doing. That's what any self-respecting government would do.
Yes, that's what any self-respecting... See, I like what he said. He said, Israel is doing what any self-respecting government would do. But here's the truth. Many of the leaders in the West, especially in Europe, are not self-respecting. That is the truth. They are not sensible. Look at the UK. Look at the scandal of grooming gangs going around raping British girls. Look at the atrocities that have been committed by Pakistani Muslims and other Muslims from other Muslim countries, from Afghanistan, from North Africa, from Pakistan, wreaking havoc on the street of the United Kingdom. And these people have done nothing about it. Nothing about it. Their latest idea, which we are going to talk about before we end the live stream, is digital ID. Digital ID card. That is what is going to solve the problem. So when you talk about this is the issue with that Israel is facing. It's allied with countries that have lost the plot. They don't even have control of their own country. And yet they are pretending like they have control over the international community. That is the real problem.
Yet, and it's a yet that I'm sorry to say here, yet over time, many world leaders buckled. They buckled under the pressure of a biased media, radical Islamist constituencies, and anti-Semitic mobs.
Exactly. The very people, like Jazz said it very well, the very people that are willing to sacrifice their own children to appease the Islamists. You think it's you they will not be willing to sacrifice? You think it's Israel they will not be willing to sacrifice to appease the Islamists? Of course, that's what they are going to do. And then pretend like that's not what they are doing. That's the one that is even annoying. I wish these people can just do it and be like, yeah, that's what we are doing because we are clueless and we are afraid and we want to win votes and want to remain in power by any means necessary. You know.
There's a familiar
people that don't care about their own people, that don't care to even protect their own people. It's not you they'll start to protect now. People that are more concerned with Islamophobia than they are with the safety of their own children. What do you think they are going to do to you? Do you think they will even consider? You think they will not sacrifice you too if they can?
When the going gets tough, the tough get going.
I mean, how many of these leaders will say a beep, like one thing about the genocide, the killing of Christians in northern Nigeria? Over 100,000 in the past 20 years. 100,000 Christians have been massacred in northern Nigeria by jihadists and Islamic extremist groups and individuals. Some of them not even groups, just random Muslims doing what Allah hasn't commanded them to do. How many pastors go out to preach in northern Nigeria and don't return, or they are found head detached from the body? How many people get kidnapped? How many of women in northern Nigeria? How many of these leaders have even said a word about it? How would they say a word about it when they have not even done anything for their own people? They cover the atrocities. They cover it up, the atrocities of Muslims in their own country. You think it's those people that, and the foolish ones amongst them, pretend like it is not there and be like, diversity is our strength. And be like, we can't get enough of Islam. Islam is so good. Criticizing Islam and pointing out the atrocities done in the name of Allah is Islamophobia. You think those people are the ones that will wake up tomorrow and care about what is happening in what Muslims are doing outside of the UK, outside of Europe? Of course they will not do that. They will never. These are the kind of people, these are the kind of governments Israel has to do business with.
Well, for many countries here,
spineless leaders. That's what Israel has to deal with.
When the going got tough, you caved. And here's the shameful result of that collapse.
Even when the going is not tough, these people have been caving before the going got tough. Like, resilience is not something that they are familiar with. It's not one of the traits. To be a leader in the West, you have to be able to cower and to bend and to bow under pressure. That is when you have that quality, people will vote for you. Especially when the votes you are looking for are the vote of leftists and Muslims. When you are somebody who can cower under pressure, they will in mass, they will vote for you.
Much of the past 2 years, Israel has had to fight a 7-front war against barbarism with many of your nations opposing us. Astoundingly, as we fight the terrorists who murdered many of your citizens, you are fighting us. You condemn us, you embargo us, and you wage political and legal warfare, it's called lawfare, against us. I say to the representatives of those nations, this is not an indictment of Israel. It's an indictment of you.
True.
It's an indictment of weak-kneed leaders who appease evil rather than support a nation whose brave soldiers guard you from the barbarians at the gate. They're already penetrating your gates.
True.
When will you learn? You can't appease your way out of jihad, and you won't escape the Islamist storm by sacrificing Israel. To overcome that storm, you have to stand with Israel. But that's not what you're doing. As the
before they will stand with Israel, they have to stand with their own people. For the UK, for example, before they can stand with Israel, they have to stand with the patriots in England, in the UK. They have to stand to defend their own people. They have to care about their own people, and they don't. There's this saying, popular saying, this age-old saying, that charity begins at home. It begins at home. And the charity you want the UK and the rest of Europe to extend to Israel, they don't even have it at home.
Israel, foretold in the Bible, you've turned good into evil and evil into good. Now I want to drill down on this. Take the false charge of genocide. Israel is accused of deliberately targeting civilians. Ladies and gentlemen, the opposite is true. The head of urban warfare studies, Colonel John Spencer, he's perhaps the world's greatest expert on urban warfare. And he says, Israel is applying more measures to minimize civilian casualties than any military in history. And because we're doing that, the ratio of non-combatant to combatant casualties is less than 2-to-1 in Gaza. That's an astoundingly low ratio, lower than NATO's wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, especially when you consider that Gaza is one of the most densely populated urban areas on Earth. It has hundreds of miles of terror tunnels underground, and it has countless terror towers above ground, and thousands of terrorists embedded in the tunnels and in these towers in civilian areas. If you want to see what measures Israel takes to avoid civilian casualties in this war, just look at what we're doing now in Gaza City, the last Hamas stronghold, one of the 2 last strongholds. For 3 weeks, Israel dropped millions of leaflets, sent millions of text messages, and made countless phone calls urging civilians to leave Gaza City before our military moves in. At the same time, Hamas implants itself in mosques, schools, hospitals, apartment buildings, and tries to force those civilians not to leave, to stay in harm's way. And it often threatens them at gunpoint if they try to do so. For Israel, every civilian casualty is a tragedy. For Hamas, it's a strategy. Hamas uses civilians as human shields and as props in its sick propaganda war in Israel, against Israel, a propaganda war that the Western media buys hook, line, and sinker. Now, despite Hamas's threats, close to 700,000 Gazans, almost 750,000, have already heeded our calls and moved to safe zones. Now, I want to ask you a simple question, a simple, logical question. Would a country committing genocide plead with the civilian population it is supposedly targeting to get out of harm's way? Would we tell them, get out if we want to commit genocide? We're trying to get them out. And Hamas is trying to keep them in. And this charge is so baseless.
These Westerners and those who are accusing you of genocide, what they want you to do is the same thing that they are doing in their, that they praise their leaders for doing in their own country. They want you to bury your head in the sand and allow the Islamists to have their way. That is what they want you to do. They want you to do the same thing they are doing. Anything other than what they are doing already is anything other than that is genocide, is hate crime, is war crime. You understand? Is a Holocaust. Is you know, anything other than that is a crime against humanity. That is what these other leaders want you to do. The very thing that they are doing. They are calling on you to behave like them.
The comparison to genocide, wholesale slaughter of populations. What, did the Nazis ask the Jews to leave, kindly leave, go out? Did others, you want me to name all the genocidal leaders of history? Just go one by one. Did anyone do this? Did they say, get out so we can come in? Of course not.
Mm-hmm.
So the truth has been turned on its head. Hamas, a genocidal terrorist organization whose charter calls for the murder of all Jews on the planet. This genocidal organization is given a pass. It's barely mentioned. While
exactly. Barely talked about. Barely talked about. Barely, man. In fact, what am I even saying? Some people even identify with them and scream in the streets of the West, we are Hamas. They dress up like Hamas. They dress their children up like Hamas fighters. They use Hamas symbols. They celebrate October 7. They claim resistance is justified when people are occupied. They don't even ignore it. Some don't even ignore it. They say it is necessary. It is the path to liberation. Liberation from what exactly? They don't know.
Which does everything it can to get civilians out of harm's way, Israel is put in the dock. What a joke. You want to hear another one? Israel is accused of deliberately starving the people of Gaza when Israel is deliberately feeding the people of Gaza.
That's true.
Since the beginning of the war, Israel has led into Gaza more than 2 million tons of food and aid. That's 1 ton of aid for every man, woman, and child in Gaza. Nearly 3,000 calories per person per day. Some starvation policy. If there are Gazans who don't have enough food, it's because Hamas is stealing it.
Stealing it.
Hamas steals it, hoards it, and sells it at exorbitant prices to fight its war machine. Last month, even the UN, not exactly a supporter of Israel. You're supposed to laugh, by the way. Last month, even the UN.
You're supposed to laugh, by the way. You need to learn from, baby, you need to learn from Donald Trump how to crack this type of jokes.
That Hamas and other armed groups looted 85% of the trucks. That's why you have deprivation. Those who peddled the blood libels of genocide and starvation against Israel are no better than those who peddled blood libels against the Jews in the Middle Ages when they falsely accused us of poisoning wells, spreading plague, and using the blood of children to bake Passover matzahs. Anti-Semitism dies hard. In fact, it doesn't die at all. It just keeps coming back with its libelous lies, refurbished, regurgitated over and over again.
People don't like, you know, that's one thing I've realized in this world. When you are resilient, when you are a survivor, when you are somebody who thrives regardless of what is thrown in front of you, people don't usually like that. People don't like that. You understand? And for so many people, they even find it annoying that you are still here. Despite the fact that they want you gone, you are still here, you are still standing, you are still thriving, you are still moving on, you are still pushing. You understand? It's like an indictment on the failures that they are as individuals. Your very existence is judging them and they don't want to be reminded of how much of a failure they are. You know, look at this European countries that are failing, and then they see a government that is doing well in protecting its own people. How do you think they will feel? They feel like this guy is putting us to shame, putting us to shame, putting us to shame. You know, I want to recognize Aiden. Thank you for the 8 months membership. That's wonderful. He said Hamas uses aid to recruit soldiers via blackmail. They use aid for, as in, they get the aid and even sell it to the to the Gazans, sell it to them, and then use it to, to finance themselves. Use the money gotten from selling aid to finance themselves. Greta's flotilla and all the things that they are carrying, when he gets into the hands of, when he enters into Gaza City, or when he enters into the Gaza Strip, Hamas is going to loot 80 parts of it, a huge chunk of it, and then sell it back to the Gazans and use the money that they get from that to equip themselves. That is every what's it called? What Greta and the likes are doing is just financing Hamas at this point. That's what they are doing, financing Hamas. Aiden, you also said you want to send super chats, but you have card issues. There is another option. It's called Buy Me a Coffee. I promise you will not have card issues. If you go to buymeacoffee.com/NIG perspective, no card issues. And speaking of which, Peter Henderson from New Zealand. This is one wonderful thing about New Zealand. New Zealand is one of the few countries that did not recognize a Palestinian state. Please, round of applause in the comments for New Zealand. They did not. They did not recognize the Palestinian state. And thank you, Mary, for becoming a member. Thank you so much. Please keep the super chats and all whatnot coming in. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here, just to collect the money. Okay? I am here to take your money.
And I want to tell you something else. These anti-Semitic lies, they have consequences. In recent months, Jews have been assaulted in Canada, Australia, Britain, France, the Netherlands, and elsewhere. Here in America, an elderly Holocaust survivor was burned to death in Colorado.
True.
And a beautiful young couple from the Israeli embassy in Washington was brutally gunned down right in front of the Holocaust Museum there. Thankfully, President Trump's administration is forcefully fighting the scourge of anti-Semitism, and every government here should follow its lead. But instead, many do the opposite. They actually reward the worst anti-Semites on earth. This week, the leaders of France, Britain, Australia, Canada, and other countries unconditionally recognized a Palestinian state. They did so after the horrors committed by Hamas on October 7th.
Now, you know the funny thing about these people recognizing a Palestinian state? They will be like, Israel, if you don't do this, we are going to recognize a Palestinian state. Okay, what is the condition for Hamas? No condition. What is the condition for Hamas? No condition. It's just, well, it's kind of ridiculous. You don't give conditions. Hamas gets no condition. Israel is like, this is your condition. And that is why Hamas is seeing you recognizing the Palestinian state as the benefit of October 7, as the benefit of over 60,000, according to them, over 60,000 dead civilians. They see you recognize as the benefit. You are telling them you are doing well. You are telling them, yes, this is the way. You are showing Hamas. You are showing those you're showing those terrorists in Palestine that this is the way. This is the way, is what you are telling them.
Horrors praised on that day by nearly 90% of the Palestinian population. So let me say that again.
But then again, it's the same thing. It's the same thing they do in their own countries, right? Muslims, Muslim migrants from Muslim countries commit heinous acts, make life difficult for those living in Europe. And what do people in Europe do? They bring more. They open their borders to more. They allow more in and punish their own citizens. Their own citizens are the ones getting punished.
Nearly 90% of Palestinians supported the attack on October 7th. It's not supported only. They celebrated it. They danced on the rooftops. They threw candies. That's both in Gaza and in Judea Samaria, the West Bank as you call it. And it's just the way they celebrated another horror, 9/11.
True.
They danced on the rooftops. They cheered. They threw candy.
True.
You know what message
Thank
the
you,
leaders
guys.
who recognize the Palestinian state this week sent to the Palestinians?
Thank you so much.
It's a very clear message.
I really appreciate it.
Murdering Jews pays off. Well, I have a message for these leaders. When the most savage terrorists on earth are effusively praising your decision, you didn't do something right. You did something wrong, horribly wrong. Your disgraceful decision will encourage terrorism against Jews and against innocent people everywhere. It will be a mark of shame on all of you. But wait a minute, Mr. Prime Minister, they tell me. Wait a minute. We believe in a two-state solution where the Jewish state of Israel will live side by side in peace with the Palestinian state. There's only one problem with that. The Palestinians, they don't believe in this solution. They never have. They don't want a state next to Israel. They want a Palestinian state instead of Israel. And that's why every time they were offered a Palestinian state, but were required to end the conflict with Israel and recognize the Jewish state, every time, over the decades, they turned it down. And that is why every time they were given territory, they used it to attack us. In fact, they effectively had a Palestinian state in Gaza. So what did they do with that state?
They use it as a terror base.
No. They attacked us time and time again.
Into a
totally unprovoked. They fired rockets into our cities. They murdered our children. They turned Gaza into a terror base from which they committed the October 7th massacre. So here's the uncomfortable truth. The persistent Palestinian rejection of a Jewish state in any boundary is what has driven this conflict for over a century. It is still driving it. It's not the absence of a Palestinian state. It's the presence and existence of a Jewish state.
Yeah.
And I find it amazing.
It's their problem.
Amazing.
And speaking of
that the foreign chancelleries and the ministries and all those who...
Speaking of Palestinian states, what is Jordan? What is Jordan? 80% of the Jordan population are Palestinians. What is Jordan if not a Palestinian state?
Pontificate about this. And the leaders. How can they not see this basic truth when it is repeated again and again and again ad nauseum? And I want to say something else. This rejection of a Jewish state not only applies to Hamas, it also applies to the so-called moderate Palestinian Authority. You should know that the Palestinian authorities pays terrorists to slay Jews. The more Jews the terrorists slay, the more the Palestinian Authority pays. The Palestinian Authority names its government buildings, its public squares, its schools, after the mass murderers of Jews, which they glorify as...
This is about people who glorify murderers and call them martyrs. Just like the ones we discussed from Dearborn, Michigan. That I want to honor a journalist who is a huge fan of Hezbollah and Hamas. You know, that's the kind of Muslims that make it to the West. That's the Palestinian brand. Those are the type that make it to the West.
Martyrs. They pay and glorify not just the killer of Jews, but also killers of Christians. Christians like Taylor Force, an American veteran who was brutally murdered in Israel by Palestinian terrorists. But, that I hear from the Western leaders. They tell me, the PA promised us it will reform. And I know this time, Prime Minister, it will be different.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. We've heard these promises for decades. They always promise. They never deliver.
At all.
Because you see, the Palestinian Authority is corrupt to the core. They haven't held elections in 20 years. They use the same textbooks as Hamas, exactly the same textbooks. They teach their children to hate Jews and destroy the Jewish state. And Christians don't fare much better. When Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus, was under Israeli control, 80% of its residents were Christians. But since the PA took control, that number has dwindled to under 20%.
These are facts like this. Facts like this is what people like Tucker Carlson don't highlight. Whenever they get any non or whoever it is to talk about Israel, facts like this don't get mentioned. The fact that when Bethlehem was under the control of Israel, it had more Christians than it had now. Now under the control of the Palestinians, the Christian population is on the decline. But here is the crazy thing. Instead of blaming the Palestinian Authority, instead of blaming the Palestinians, what do these Christians do in the West Bank? They blame the Jews. They blame the Jews. So unfortunate.
These are the people you want to give a state to? What you're doing is giving the ultimate reward to intolerant fanatics who perpetrated and supported the October 7th massacre. Giving the Palestinians a state 1 mile from Jerusalem after October 7th is like giving Al-Qaeda a state 1 mile from New York City after September 11th. This is sheer madness. It's insane, and we won't do it. So here's another message to those Western leaders. Israel will not allow you to shove a terror state down our throats. We will not commit national suicide because you don't have the guts to face down a hostile media and anti-Semitic mobs demanding Israel's blood. And I want you to grasp something else, which is also distorted in the media. I say this not only in my name or the name of my government, but on behalf of all the people of Israel. Last year, there was a vote in the Knesset, our parliament, whether or not to oppose the imposition of a Palestinian state. You want to guess what the results were? Out of 120 members of our parliament, 99 voted against and only 9 supported. That's over 90%. It's not a fringe group. It's not the prime minister who himself is extreme or he's held hostage by extreme parties to his right. It's over 90% of Israelis. My opposition to a Palestinian state is not simply my policies or my government's policy. It's the policy of the state and people of the state of Israel. Western leaders may have buckled under the pressure. And I guarantee you one thing, Israel won't. Israel's victories over the Iranian... Thank you, I know you won't too, that's good. Israel's victories over the Iranian terror axis have opened up possibilities for peace that were unthinkable 2 years ago. Take Syria. For decades, the very idea of peace between Israel and Syria seemed unimaginable. Well, no more. Today, we have begun serious negotiations with the new Syrian government. I believe an agreement can be reached that respects Syria's sovereignty and protects...
Okay, can we not talk about Syria? Can we not mention Syria? Okay, can we not mention Syria? Because can we not just mention Syria? I think you people have an Al Qaeda, a former Al Qaeda, repentant Al Qaeda member as the president of Syria. He even was present for the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Imagine being part of a terror organization that blew up the Twin Towers in New York. Being part of that terror organization, your face was published as wanted. Ransom was attached to your name, and the U.S. authorities were looking for you to go after you. You were part of that organization, and then few years down the line, you become president, and you are in New York, and you are giving a speech at the United Nations General Assembly. Please, let's not mention Syria. But of course, I understand Israel's interest.
Both Israeli security and the security of the minorities in the region, including the Druze minority. From the founding of Israel, Jews and Druze have been brothers in arms. We have fought together. We bled together. We built our lives together. When I was a young commander in Israel's Special Forces, my own life was saved by the invaluable advice given to me by a great friend, Salim Shufi, a heroic Druze IDF veteran. And that's why I couldn't sit idly by, nor could Israel sit idly by, while the Druze were being slaughtered by jihadists. And I instructed our forces to stop the massacre, which they promptly did.
When Druze were being slaughtered, Bibi, when they were being slaughtered, who was the president of Syria? Assad or Jalani? Assad or Jalani? Under Assad, the Druze were safe, Bibi. Under Assad, the Druze were safe, or at least safer. I don't have high hope for Syria. Maybe, when it has to do with their relationship with Israel, yeah, it will be peaceful or relatively peaceful, less troublesome than with Assad. But for the minorities in Syria, I'm not hopeful. I am so not hopeful.
In Israel and Lebanon.
I don't know if the peace agreement you have with Jalani will include no more persecution of Christians in Syria and of Druze in Syria.
Is possible, as well. I call on the Lebanese government to also begin direct negotiations with Israel. I commend it for its declared aim to disarm Hezbollah, but we need more than words. If Lebanon takes genuine and sustained action to disarm Hezbollah, I'm sure we can achieve a sustainable peace. Of course, until that happens, we will take whatever action we need to defend ourselves and to maintain the conditions of the ceasefire which was established in Lebanon. Our goal is not merely to monitor Hezbollah's actions, but to prevent them from violating the ceasefire and attacking us at any time. But I'm sure that if the Lebanese government persists...
I'm not oblivious to the advantages of having Jalani. I'm not saying... I understand. I really understand. You win some, you lose some at the end of the day. Sometimes you have to dance with the devil. I understand. I understand. And it's not like, it's just, at the same time, you get where I'm coming from. Yes, for the most part, that's what matters. Like, Syria is no longer a serious threat to peace in the Middle East. You understand? I get that part very well. It doesn't also take away the fact that Jelani is allowing radical Muslims within his territory, within his own government, within his own military, to terrorize religious minorities. Two things can be true, And yes, in the greater scheme of things, so to speak, it is better that it is better, not that it is the best, not that it is even good. It's just a comparison thing. Compared to Assad, Jelani is better in one sense, So.
In its goal of disarming Hezbollah, peace will come very speedily and very readily. Victory over Hezbollah has made peace possible with our two Arab neighbors in the north. Victory over Hamas will make peace possible with nations throughout the Arab and Muslim world. Our victory would lead to a dramatic extension and expansion of the historic Abraham Accords, which President Trump brokered between Arab leaders and myself 5 years ago. And I took note, as I'm sure you did too, of the encouraging words spoken here by the President of Indonesia. This is the country with the largest Muslim population of all nations. And it's also a sign of what could come. Forward-looking Arabs and Muslim leaders know that cooperating with Israel will provide them with groundbreaking Israeli technologies, including in medicine and science, in agriculture and water, in defense and AI, and so many other fields.
That is why, though, of all the Muslim leaders that we are living, the leaders and the representatives from the United Arab Emirates did not leave. They sat there. In fact, they went on Twitter to announce that they were not among those who left because they understand the importance of partnering with Israel. People who are forward thinkers, people who want to progress, real progress. People who understand real progress knows that they know these leaders, especially the ones in the Middle East who want real progress, know that they have to deal with the extremist elements in their nation, put it at bay, and then try to form alliance with people who are progressive, like really, really progressive. They know this.
I believe that in the coming years, the Middle East will look dramatically different. Many of those who wage war on Israel today will be gone tomorrow. Brave peacemakers will take their place. And nowhere will this be more true than in Iran. The long-suffering Iranian people will regain their freedom. They will make Iran great again. And our two ancient peoples.
And bear in mind that this is the only leader in the UN that recognizes the people of Iran. The people of Iran. And this is why Israel is better. It's better to be on the side of Israel. People forget the people of Iran, the very people of Iran who are under an oppressive regime. And it is my prayer for them that one day they will break free from this regime.
Our two ancient
that day will be soon, very soon.
Peoples, the people of Israel and the people of Iran, will restore a friendship that will benefit the entire world. Ladies and gentlemen, the horrors that happened on one dark day, October 7th, those horrors happened countless times during the centuries of my people's exiles among the nations. Jewish blood was cheap. Jews were killed with impunity. We had to beg others to defend us. The rise of Israel did not mean that the attempts to destroy us would end. It meant that we could fight back against those attempts. And that is exactly what Israel has done since October 7th. Our sons and daughters fought like lions. Our brave soldiers donned their uniforms and rushed into battle. They were armed with the dreams of the 100 generations of Jews who came before them. The dream of living as a free people in the land of Israel, our beloved homeland for more than 3,000 years. The dreams of living in our own independent state. The dream of having an army to defend ourselves. And the dream of being a light unto the nations, a beacon of progress, ingenuity, innovation, for the benefit of all humanity. On October 7th, the enemies of Israel tried to extinguish that light. 2 years later, the resolve of Israel and the strength of Israel burned brighter than ever. With God's help, that strength and that resolve would lead us to a speedy victory and to a brilliant future of prosperity and peace. Thank you very much.
You know what is interesting about this? Many people walked out on this speech, but everyone knows that at the end of the day, this one speech that everybody is going to be talking about is this speech. There are two speeches that everyone is going to keep talking about. The speech of Donald Trump, that's in this UN National United Nations General Assembly, two speeches are going to be the major highlights. One is the speech of Donald Trump, which they tried to sabotage by making his teleprompter not to work and to, I was trying to do something with the elevator. That's one. And then the second speech that everybody's going to be talking about, in fact, the one that people are going to be talking about more, is the speech of Benjamin Netanyahu. Is going to be reported and reported and reported and reported. So the workout is just performative. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything. People are going to report about this speech over and over again. People are going to be dissecting this for weeks to come. Even those that walked out are going to hear what happened. So the workout is just a gesture for nothing at the end of the day. And that is the that is what a strong leader looks like. Despite all the attacks from world leaders, he comes on stage and he tells them like it is, and he's not afraid and he's not apologetic. And he's firm and he's strong and he says what needs to be said. This is what a strong leader looks like. This is what strong leadership looks like. And that is something for other leaders to emulate. This is the kind of spine that they need to have, not leaders like this.
And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. Because decent, pragmatic, fair-minded people, they want us to tackle the issues that they see around them. And of course, the truth is, we won't solve our problems if we don't also take on the root causes, looking upstream to tackle poverty, conflict.
Just imagine. So illegal migrants are coming into the UK on boats, and many of them don't even work. You understand? That's the funny part. Many of them don't even work. Many of them are unemployed, leeching on the system, just taking advantage of the system. And Keir Starmer's brilliant idea to curb illegal, the migrant crisis is digital ID. Digital ID is what is going to be the perfect solution. This is the kind of stupidity that runs among Western leaders, especially the ones in Europe. This is the kind of stupidity that this is what they are experts in. That is the new thing now. Oh, digital ID. You create a problem. You let in illegal migrants. And then you say, oh, digital ID, yeah, that's the solution because that is going to solve anything. As if the countries in Europe that have something like this they're not dealing with migrants, are not having migrant crisis. This is the kind of, stupid way of thinking that you find among leaders, most leaders in the West. In fact, here is this lady making fun of the brilliant idea from Keir Starmer.
News, still not quite in batshit bonkers Britain, where apparently I'm a wanted woman. First up, digital ID. 4 words you need to learn, and fast. I will not comply. It will be, of course, a centralised point of digital failure. Just look at what's gone on at Land Rover and every British airport, but much more than that. It's a centralised form of control that we do not need. The government said it will make it harder for people to work. Oh my goodness, because that's exactly what Great Britain needs right now, isn't it? We need to make it harder for people to work. I mean, last time I saw some rubber dinghy rapids rocking up on the shoreline with Mohammed, Mahmoud and Omar, they were so desperate to work. I mean, that's the reason they came here, just wanted to work. For Christ's sake. In other news, Tony Blair.
Exactly. I could not even say it better. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I am exhausted. I've gone 3 hours and I'm tired. Once again, guys, please support. Go to buymeacoffee.com/NIG Perspective. And thank you all for hanging out with me. And I want to say, I am really grateful. I am so grateful. This has been a very awesome live stream. I'm tired, but I'm grateful. This has been a very fantastic live stream. I appreciate every one of you, even those that are not here anymore. I really, really enjoyed my time hanging out with you. I'm happy that Jazz is with me. Jazz, thank you for joining this live stream. It's been quite a while. John, you are the best. Aiden, you are the best. Peter Henderson, you are the best. Who else? White Pride. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the super sticker. I thank every one of you. And as is my custom, this is my opportunity to tell you, come to Christ, okay? One thing that talking about the news make you realize is that there is no hope in politicians. If you're looking for solution in politicians, you're looking at the wrong place. These people don't have the answer. Even the best of them will fail. I mean, Israel have very good governments, yet they could not stop October 7. There is one person who will take care of you, who will never let you down. Now, I'm not saying that bad things will not happen, but even through the storm, even in everything, throughout your whatever comes your way, he's going to be by your side. His love never fails. And he's going to give your life a new meaning. He's going to transform your life. His love is there for you to make you, to make you what you are destined to be, what you were designed for, what you were made for, to give your life a meaning that goes beyond this world and, transcend even to the hereafter. And gives you an eternity that does not consist of 72 horrors, but consists of an eternity of, dwelling in his presence, feasting at his table, surrounded by his glory. And I invite you to that life. I invite you to a life controlled and ruled by Christ, his righteousness, his joy, his peace, and his love. Come to Christ, and your life will never remain the same. Thank you so much. Thank you so, so much. Yes, White Pride. We are proud of that. All right. As has become my custom, I'm going to end with a clip. I wish Olajide was here to watch it. I'm going to end with the famous Candace Owens clip that I usually end with. And thank you all for hanging out with me. And until we see again, peace.
It's a gut thing, okay? I don't know, but I know. Okay? I don't know, but I know. What are we to discern from all of this? I'll tell you my take on this. It's a gut thing, okay? I don't know, but I know. Okay? I don't know, but I know. It's a gut thing. I don't know, but I know. It's a gut thing. I don't know, but I know. It's a gut thing, okay? Make it make sense. It's very easy to debunk me, okay? Easy. Super internet, debunk me, okay? Easy. Super internet, debunk me, okay? Very easy. We've got other people that are doing different things, and they do not want us to prod the narrative. So I'm going to assume doesn't make sense to prod the narrative. We've got other people. Doesn't make sense to prod the narrative. We've got other people. Doesn't make sense to prod the narrative. We've got other people that are doing different things. I don't know, but I know. Prod the narrative. I don't know, but I know. It's a gut thing. It's over. It's done. Wrap it up.